Ooh, I've been meaning to do this video for years now. Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Today I'm doing a video, and I want to make this a whole series, because I've been meaning to do this forever, and I've been very excited for it, where I get in front of the camera, and I go to Bulbapedia, and I look up every single Pokemon that has ever existed and give you my opinion on them. Because people ask me all the time, like, what do you think of this Pokemon? What do you think of that Pokemon? Especially with earlier generation stuff, but I've noticed more newer generation stuff, and that's a huge blind spot for me, because I've still never played Generation 9. I meant to play it on the show. I'm still gonna play it on the show at some point, but I wanted to do like a let's play of it first, right? Same with Generation 8, although I streamed a little bit of that back in the day. But you know, Generation 9 dropped when I was having my health problems in 2022, so I couldn't really jump on that, and then I haven't really had a whole lot of time since then. It's been years, so I've been meaning to do stuff with it. So I guess what'll happen over the course of this series, I'll have a playlist for it, linked in the description. What I plan on doing is starting from Generation 1, going from #1 Pokemon in the Pokédex, Bulbasaur, going all the way to whatever the last Pokemon is in Generation 9, and I'm gonna give you my opinion on them, on the art, on the Pokemon, if I know much about their stats and their moves and whatever, what I think of them, any interesting personal stories I may have with them, of which I will probably dry up on personal stories very quickly as the generations go on, because I'm old now. Okay, well, I'm not that old. I'm 32, which means I grew up with Generation 1 of Pokemon, and in fairness, I also grew up with Generations like 2 and 3. 4 came out, I think, when I was in early high school, and I didn't really play it until the end of high school, and then Gen 5 came out right after I graduated. So Gen 5 was like the last one that I played as they were coming out. And even then, with Gen 5, I got to like the Elite Four, I got stuck, and then I don't think I actually like beat it until years and years and years later, like literally a decade later when I was doing these challenge videos. Around then would have been the first time I beat Gen 5. So today is Gen 1. I'll switch the screen over. There we go, we're on good old Bulbapedia. I know it looks a little bit janky. I'm just multi-purposing my streaming overlay thing for this. You can see below me where my chat would normally be. And you can see it's not quite cropped properly either, but I figure this really doesn't matter. We all just need to be looking at the same Pokemon so you can visually see what I'm talking about here if I haven't said the name in a while, and you might be, you know, doing chores and listening to this or something. You know, so if you can peek at the screen and you see who we're talking about here. All right, let's get started. First of all, #1, Bulbasaur. I guess we want to start by talking about the starters, right? Bulbasaur, Charmander, I almost said Chikorita. Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. I've thought long and hard about, like, what is my first Gen 1 starter? It's gotta be Bulbasaur. I think Bulbasaur is my favorite starter in general. It's not just because the first time I ever played Bulbasaur was my starter. I think it may have been, but I restarted my file a lot when I first played Blue as a kid. My actual first starter might have been Squirtle. I don't remember for sure. But I feel like I spend the most time with Bulbasaur, and I like Bulbasaur the most in how it plays and also its design in Gen 1. I love how it looks, where it's like a grass toad with the bulb on its back, and it eventually opens up and blossoms and everything. I think that's really cool. It also helps that as time has gone on, my favorite Pokemon type is Poison, and I think Bulbasaur is the only Poison starter there's ever been, unless there's one in Gen 9 and I just don't know. But I do believe that Bulbasaur is the only Poison starter, so that's kind of like a cool little side thing. Honestly, that's a coincidence more than anything. I don't like it extra because it's part Poison type. I think that was just an eccentricity of Gen 1 had a lot of Poison types, and also a lot of grass types were also Poison type in Gen 1. In fact, in Gen 1, the only pure grass type was Tangela, which is crazy to think. Tangela was not great in Gen... Well, its special was really good in Gen 1, its moveset. We'll get to that when we get to that, I guess. But Bulbasaur, yeah, I think it's straight up my favorite starter. Next is Ivysaur. I feel like a lot of starters have kind of an awkward second form, but Ivysaur's cool. I like Ivysaur. It's got the fangs and everything. These are like early Pokemon designs, so they still looked a little bit monster-like, you know? Pokemon Pocket Monster. So they still had a bit more of that monster-like quality to them. You know, it's on all fours, it's got the fangs. It has kind of angular, angry-ish eyes almost. It's got some angularity to its ears and everything. I don't know. I think that this might be my favorite middle form. I feel like Gen 1 in general had okay middle forms for their Pokemon, but the third forms I thought were really good. Venusaur looks like a boss, you know? It looks like a boss monster from a game. Looks awesome. It's just a giant bullfrog with this big blossomed, I guess it's a flower. It almost looks like a tree with all the leaves and everything. I love Venusaur. Solid Pokemon, great design. I love the color scheme especially. I think the color scheme is awesome. Drinking coffee. Again, part poison type, which is pretty cool. And also, if we go down to Gen 1 here, you see Gen 1, the base special was 100. Okay, never mind. I misremembered it having less special attack originally. Nah, okay, so it's equal between Gen 1 and the other generations. I'm curious though, does it learn like poison moves in the modern games? No, just poison powder. Yeah, that's kind of how I remembered it being. Like, it's part poison type, which is cool because then it's less weak to poison and it can't be poisoned. Well, okay. In Gen 1, you could poison it with a Twin Needle, was it? It was whatever the bug move was that Beedrill has that can poison Pokemon. That could still poison types in Gen 1, if I remember right. You could also poison steel types in Gen 2. Weird fun fact. Yeah, the poison I feel like was more a defensive thing than anything, although it made you weak to Psychic, and man, Gen 1 Psychic was unbelievably strong. Let's go over to Charmander here. Everybody loves Charmander, right? Fun design, little lizard dude. He's got the flame on his tail that I think the Pokédex says it dies if the flame on its tail is extinguished, which is really dark. Everybody loves Charmander though. Fun little design, fun little, I guess it's a salamander, right? Based on the name, it's not a lizard, it's a salamander. Oh, hold on, what does it say here? It is, where does it say it's the whatever Pokemon? Egg group monster, and see, I don't have my glasses on, so oh, it says lizard Pokemon up here. But Charmander? Salamander? Well, maybe in Japan it had a more lizard name. I don't know. People like Charmeleon? I like Charmeleon too. I think it might be the least cool of the middle form starters in Gen 1. It almost makes me feel like it would be a generic disposable enemy in like an early 2000s game or a late 90s N64 game or something. You know what I mean? Then again, you take the head off of it, you put a new body on it, he looks like he could be on like Star Fox's team. Or like part of Star Wolf's team, you know? You know what I mean? Surely I'm not the only one who's seeing this. Yeah, Charmeleon's a cool Pokemon. I don't dislike any of the starters in Gen 1. I think they all looked pretty cool. I really liked that a lot of Pokemon in Gen 1 had more of a monster look to them because, you know, I can only assume it's because the first generation of Pokemon was obviously made before it, like, really blew up, especially in the West, but it blew up in Japan as well when the game came out. They didn't know it was going to be a huge thing, and they also probably didn't know that the cute Pokemon were going to get so popular with people. I mean, original designs of Pikachu, it was like really fat. You know, it's shaped more like a mouse. It didn't have like a neck or anything, you know? So a lot of these Pokemon in the first generation don't look as cute, although some of the pictures we're looking at were probably drawn much later after Pokemon was a huge deal already. You know, like if we go to the image gallery on here, it's somewhere near the bottom, isn't it? Well, Sprites is here. I mean, we can look at the original Pokemon, right? Oh, it's so tiny. Never mind, you can't see that at all. Yeah, the original red and green sprites were really bad for a lot of Pokemon. Got redrawn in red and yellow. I like a lot of the red sprites more than I like the yellow sprites, to be honest. But not always. Have you ever wondered why sometimes the back sprite in Gen 1 doesn't look right at all? Like, why does the Charmeleon thing have like a spike on the back of its head with that's white, you know? It's usually because the back sprite was not redrawn after the original red and green in Japan. That's a little fun fact for you. But yeah, you can see his design changed just a little bit over the years. Just a little bit. Wow, he looks weird in Diamond and Pearl. Wow, look how awkward the shiny looks in Diamond and Pearl. Man. Yeah, that's weird. Super weird. All right, no, back to the video. Charizard. Who doesn't love Charizard? Charizard is a really cool Pokemon. I guess you could argue that it's a little bit generic. I guess you could argue that it looks a little bit like a generic boss monster from like a 90s RPG. In a way, it is a generic boss monster from a 90s RPG, but I still think the design is really cool. I still think the whole characterization of it is really cool. It's infinitely weird to me that it's 5'7", that I am taller than a Charizard, because I would have just assumed a Charizard is like, I don't know, 15 feet tall. I don't know. It just seems like it would be really, really big. No, I am taller than Charizard, which is nuts. Like, only by a couple of inches, but that's still crazy. I think we need to give a shout out though to the shiny spray for Charizard. Now, as much as I do like the pale purple one, I think that is kind of cool. The later ones where they made it like kind of like a ashy gray black Charizard with like red on the interior of the wings, that is so cool looking. I actually don't like a lot of black and white sprites in motion. I think a lot of the Gen 5 Pokemon look pretty good in black and white, but a lot of the earlier generation ones where they figured you weren't really gonna see it all that often, they got a little bit lazier with. Like, I think Drowzee looks really bad in black and white, but Charizard looks great in black and white. Look how cool this looks in the shinies and everything. Hold on, I gotta double check. We just clicked. Okay, you do see that fine. Cool. I'm gonna put myself on this other monitor over there. There we go. So that I can double check and make sure I'm displaying things properly. That's wise. I should have thought to do that earlier. I hope the lighting isn't too blown up. By the way, I'm using the natural lighting from the window. I don't have much control over it. I should probably close the blinds and just use like my spotlights and stuff, but no. I want some natural light. I could use it. Squirtle. I like Squirtle. Everybody likes Squirtle. It's a little generic. It's maybe a little bit boring. I think it gets cooler as it evolves. If you were to put a gun to my head, well, one, please don't. But two, if you were to put a gun to my head and say that I had to pick a least favorite Gen 1 starter, like first form, I guess Squirtle's a little bit boring. I like the characterization of it in the show. I only ever watched like Gen 1 of the show because that was on when I was a kid. I used to watch that a lot. And I saw like the first movie, and I think I saw the second movie, but I don't remember the second movie like at all. I remember Meryl was in it, or was Meryl in the first movie? Because I know some of those Gen 2 Pokemon showed up in the movies before they showed up in the games, at least in the English releases. Hi, Rocky. I don't know if you can hear one of my cats, Rocky's behind me, and he's doing some meows. I just fed him. He's good. Let's go over to Wartortle. I always thought Wartortle was pretty cool. If we were going to say there's a middle form, first form, a middle form starter Pokemon Gen 1 that's the coolest, Wartortle. I really like what they did with the design. Gave him a little more attitude, made him a little more angular and everything. They gave him the cool ear wing things and the tail. I don't know why those kind of vanish on Blastoise. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe they had a different idea in mind for what Blastoise was going to look like. Maybe I got to look at what the original Blastoise sprite looked like. Maybe that'll clue me in. The ears always made me think of the wings on the wing cap in Super Mario 64. Love that game. And then last we have Blastoise. I mean, it's a giant turtle with cannons. That's awesome. I don't know where the fluffy stuff went on like the ears and the tail and stuff. I don't know what's up with that. You know, he went from nothing on his head with a normal tail to fluffy ears and fluffy tail to normal tail, and he grew ears, but they're kind of like, I mean, they look just like Ivysaur's ears, don't they? Yeah, they really do, now that I think about it, huh? What does the original Sprite look like? Oh, it has ears. Well, it has different looking ears. Can I like zoom in really, really hard on this? That's the hardest I can zoom in on the browser. No, those are still normal ears and a normal tail. In fact, that Sprite looks fine. It kind of looks like it's from Ninja Turtles, but whatever, the Sprite is fine. Huh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I even knew that this is what shiny Blastoise looked like. Oh, I don't like that color scheme. I'm not opposed to him being this kind of hippo purple color, but the green shell is gross looking. Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that. Blastoise, though, in general, cool, I like it. Caterpie! Oh, man. I caught so many Caterpies. Man, I spent a lot of time in Viridian Forest as a kid. That's crazy to think. I like Caterpie. Caterpie's cool. Obviously, it just kind of looks like a caterpillar. It doesn't really have a whole lot going on in its own design, but the idea of it, you know, the caterpillar turns into a cocoon, turns into a butterfly. I thought that was really cool. You know, you're early on, you're playing Pokemon. You gotta remember, when I first started playing Pokemon, it was the week it released in English. Back in, I think it was 98 September, right? It was like late September. It was like right after my birthday in 1998, I think it was. And man, everybody on the playground suddenly had a Game Boy and had Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue. I lived in like a tiny, tiny town. Go Google it. Dunnville, Ontario, Canada. Where I grew up is real small. And like that, if you look at the census data's a lie on that. They add in the population of all the communities around it, like the rural communities around it. In reality, if you lived in Dunnville like I did, it had like half that population. We had 2 elementary schools and we had 1 high school. I don't even live there anymore, but that's where I grew up. And man, even in the middle of nowhere, everybody had a Game Boy, everybody had Pokemon, and everybody, you know, we were all kind of experiencing Pokemon for the first time together. So I have a lot of memories of people talking about how hard Viridian Forest is and getting poisoned all the time. Because, like, not only are, like, okay, we're all kids, nobody knows what Pokemon is. Most of these kids have never played an RPG before. I think I had by then, but Pokemon was still definitely the RPG I put the most time into. So like, even though like Viridian Forest is such a cakewalk and it's so easy and it's so simple, to a whole generation of rural Canadian kids who had never played an RPG before and everyone's kind of experiencing it at the first time, man, we had a hard time in Viridian Forest. Man, that's crazy to think. Dude, the first time I ever beat Pokemon Blue, I didn't know that you could use a PC to deposit and withdraw Pokemon yet. So I had put a Bellsprout in the daycare, and then I never took it out because I caught another Pokemon. I couldn't take it out, so I didn't know how because I had a full team by then. I ended up eventually like beating the game before I figured out like, oh, you can take your Bellsprout out if you just like deposit a Pokemon. I didn't know you could deposit Pokemon. And I think the Bellsprout was like some absurd level. I don't think it was max level though. Just funny, random story came to mind. So, yeah, Caterpie. I fought a million Caterpies. I remember in Gen 1, nowhere in the game did it actually tell you what the moves did. I ended up getting a Prima strategy guide at some point that did say, and I would read that often. That was so cool. I still have it somewhere. It was probably in storage, held together by tape. It's so ancient. But it said what all the moves do, and it was mostly right. I think it had some typos. But man, yeah, I had a Butterfree. I'm pretty sure I had a Butterfree at least. I know for sure I had a Metapod at some point, but that might have been other playthroughs because I played this game a lot back in the day, especially once Pokemon Stadium came out and you could play it like sped up in the Dodrio Tower. I played it a lot on that over and over and over. Same with Pokemon Yellow. So some of those memories might get conflated. Metapod, I mean, I like the design. I like the mini game for it in Pokemon Stadium. I like it in Pokemon Snap, how it comes down from like the roof on a little string and stuff. It's a boring Pokemon, but it's a Pokemon you have for 3 levels, you know? Really, this just exists because they like the idea of there being a cocoon stage, you know? Otherwise, it's just kind of whatever. I like the eye on it. I like the lazy looking eye where it's a little sleepy because it's just a cocoon. It's just sleeping, you know? I think that's kind of cool. And Butterfree. Now, I'm going to say something that for those of you who watch me, who just watch lots of Pokemon stuff, I'm sure you've heard this like a million times. But for those of you who watch me who are just reliving old Pokemon games, which is also a sizable amount of you, you may not realize this. I'm gonna open another tab there that is just Butterfree. Okay? Later, when we get to Venonat, we're gonna revisit this, okay? Hold on, I'm gonna go back a couple. I'm gonna get a Caterpie image there too. Okay, we're gonna revisit this when we get to Venonat. Some people already know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, Butterfree, yeah, super cool design. I like it a lot. The colors make me think of a Pop-Tart I grew up with. It sounds so stupid. There was a Pop-Tart I used to have every once in a while. It was like Wild Berry or something, but the color scheme makes me think of that Pop-Tart. I don't know. It was good. I liked it. I'm not a Pop-Tart guy as an adult. I cook all my meals, but you know. It's a good Pokemon and a good Pop-Tart. Also, I think this is probably the first Pokemon most people got back in the day that learned a Psychic move. And man, I still think this, but the animations and the sound effects for Psychic moves in Gen 1 are so cool. Mind you, a lot of them make the whole screen flash. I think they kind of stopped doing that after Gen 1 because, man, that's rough for epileptic people. But, man, I thought the move Confusion was so cool. I thought it was cool that it learned, like, a lot of powder moves and stuff. Realistically, it's not really a great Pokemon, but, like, I didn't know that as a kid. And it was super weak to Rock type, but, like, in Gen 1, there was, like, almost no Rock moves. It's like Rock Throw, which was garbage, missed all the time, and wasn't very strong. Almost no one learned it. There was Rock Slide, which I don't even know if anyone learned by level up. You could just get a TM for it in, I think, Rock Tunnel. No, you get the Rock Slide TM on top of the Celadon department store. Wow, that might have been the only rock moves. At least the only rock attacking moves that I can think of in Gen 1. That really might have been it. Yeah, I like Butterfree. Now, you gotta compare it to Weedle, right? Because they're kind of like the counterpart Pokemon. I think Weedle's a bit cooler than Caterpie. Just like how I think Kakuna is cooler than Metapod, just design-wise, how they look. They're cooler. They're a little more interesting because it's got Poison Sting instead of Tackle. Yeah, Poison Sting is really, really weak, but it's a way to introduce you to what getting poisoned is in Gen 1, you know? It was almost for sure everybody's first experience with a status affliction is a Weedle paralyzing them. Hairy bug. It's not hairy. Is it supposed to be implied that it's like furry? I always thought it was smooth, like a caterpillar. Okay, well, not all caterpillars are smooth, in fairness. Hey, Rocky, how's it going? You want to be part of the video? I won't be able to convince him to be part of the video, to be honest. He doesn't really like being picked up all that much. Or else I'd pick him up for the camera. Kakuna, Cocoon Pokemon, duh. Kakuna, I mean, it's marginally better than Metapod, just because it has Poison Sting, I guess. But even then, in Red and Blue, if you caught a Weedle or a Caterpie and you evolved it, you wouldn't have Harden. You would only have Harden if you caught a Metapod or a Kakuna. It wasn't until Pokemon Yellow that they made it so when you evolve it, it automatically learns Harden. So you'd basically be picking between whether you want Harden or if you want Poison Sting and String Shot or Tackle and String Shot, depending on if you caught the first form or the second form, because obviously both are available in Viridian Forest. Although in Pokemon Yellow, you couldn't catch a Weedle or a Kakuna because it was one of the Pokemon that Ash never caught, and Yellow was really based off the TV show. Beedrill, I love the design of Beedrill. I think it looks really cool. I liked using it in Pokemon Stadium a lot. I don't know if I used it in my Let's Play of Pokemon Stadium, one of my favorite Let's Plays on the channel, if you want to check out any of the Let's Plays. That's the fan favorite Let's Play from the Pokemon viewers, at least. I think it's my most watched Let's Play, which is really crazy to think, because I did probably over 100 Let's Plays before I did that. Well, that makes sense. I got a lot of practice in. Beedrill, I really like the design of. I love that it has all these really unique, cool moves. I think signature moves aren't really so much of a thing in Pokemon anymore. At least it's not as common. Like, all the signature moves of Beedrill surely are in other games now, like Twin Needle and Pin Missile. Twin Needle, I think only it learned, whereas Pin Missile, I think Jolteon also learned Pin Missile, if I'm not wrong. These are some of the only bug moves in Gen 1, by the way. I mean, String Shot is, but String Shot doesn't do damage. It's Twin Needle, Pin Missile, and I know there's one other. I'm blanking on what it is. But, like, I'm sure other things can learn Twin Needle now, right? Like, if I investigate this, yeah, like, immediately it's a picture of a Cloyster doing it. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, unless the target is a poison type. I didn't know that. See, here I was thinking that it could poison types. Now in Gen 2, it can poison steel types. I must have just been conflating those memories. Whatever. That's my opinion on Beedrill. We're only on 15. I gotta speed this up. Whew. Pidgey. I mean, I love the color scheme of Pidgey. I love the kind of little black bit there. It's almost like makeup or something near Pidgey's eyes. I love its attitude. Pidgey is just a great Pokemon. Probably the most commonly used flying type in Gen 1. I think everyone caught a Pidgey, right? Now, Gust was normal type in Gen 1, which was a little weird, but like it's a normal flying type, so it still gets the same type attack bonus. I think it learns Wing Attack eventually, but in Gen 1, Wing Attack was the same strength as Peck, so it wasn't as good. Still, stats-wise, when it fully evolves, it was great. And it didn't even take all that long to evolve. You know, it evolves both forms around the same time you'd be evolving a starter. So I felt like it was kind of a good companion to your starter. It was a pretty solid one. I like Pidgey a lot. Pidgeotto, cool design, you know, you add the multicolors and everything to the tail. You add the haircut that looks actually kind of like mine. Wonder if Pidgeotto does his own hair too. Yeah, Pidgeotto is like a really cool looking third form. Now, I do think that the third form and the final form, I clicked the wrong thing again, of Pidgeot, they look a little too samey to me. Like if I go back and forth between these two, it is completely reasonable to think these are the same Pokemon from a different angle. Like, what's the only difference here? It's a little bigger, and the tail stops being multicolor, the head hair starts being multicolor. Either than that, it really looks like it's almost the same Pokemon. That's really my only complaint between Pidgeotto and Pidgeot, is they didn't come up with enough creative uniqueness between the two. You know what I mean? I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that, but either than that, I like it. Rattata, I will never say this Pokemon's name right, because Rattata is what I called it as a child. I don't know why. People tell me I got it wrong, even though I watched the show, so like I probably got most of the names. Well, okay, most of the names right, but then again, the show got names wrong too, so like whatever. The creator of Pokemon said that you can pronounce Pokemon names however you want, so I guess technically there is no right and wrong, but you know. I like Rattata. Hi, Rocky. Sorry, he's really trying to get my attention. I think I'll have to take a little break from the video after I finish Rattata and Raticate just to double check and see if he needs something, but I don't think he does. Yeah, I like Rattata. It's kind of like a... I mean, it follows the rule of, or the what its design purposes, which is like generic early game enemy, you know? A lot of RPGs at the time, and probably even now, some of the earliest game monsters you fight are like rats, like evil giant rat, sometimes in a sewer. That's super common. It's a really common trope in a lot of traditional JRPGs. And I think that that's kind of where the idea from Rattata came from, is let's have a rat enemy at the beginning. Plus, it's like a field mouse, you know? It says mouse Pokemon, but I mean, its name is Rat. It's not really shaped like a mouse either. It's not really shaped like a rat either now, is it? But I like it. It's got a lot of personality, you know what I mean? And cool moves too. It's got like Super Fang and Hyper Fang. I mean, I guess they're not like the best things ever, but Super Fang definitely has its utility. And Hyper Fang can flinch. That's good. Gen 1 flinch wasn't as good because first few generations, a lot of flinch moves were just 10% flinch chance. I know that was buffed later. They made flinch a lot stronger and more frustrating. And then Raticate. I thought Raticate is very cool. Great name. If I can give a little shout out to Alolan Raticate, by the way, I love most Alolan Pokemon, actually. Most regional variants I think are really cool. I thought that was a super cool addition to the series. But if we're just looking at like regular Raticate here, yeah, of course I love Raticate. Look at this dude. I don't think he was like the best Pokemon ever or anything in Gen 1. He was okay. It was perfectly fine early game Pokemon. He evolves at level 20, which is pretty early, and he was really strong at level 20 when you get him. He kind of falls off near the end of the game, but he was really fun, cool design, and at least in Gen 1, he could learn like a wild amount of TMs. Like if I, oh, it looks like even in the new ones he still can. Okay, they must have kept that from Gen 1 then, because like back in Gen 1, a lot of normal types could learn like Water Beam, Ice, or Bubble Beam, and Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt, and like crazy stuff like that, where it's like, that doesn't make any sense, you know? May as well slap Psychic on that. He wasn't great at Special or anything, unless I'm misremembering. 50, it's not horrible, it's not good. So he wasn't really great at those moves, but like you could get wide type coverage if you wanted to. Okay, I really like Spearow. Even though Spearow's like kind of a generic design-ish here, I feel like this picture is not exactly doing it justice. I feel like that it looks better in some other things. Like if we look at the sprites, okay, that looks like it's just a chicken. And the red one doesn't look great either. He's got the lazy eyes on it, like the half-closed eyes, which is kind of cool. But like as the games go on, yeah, it's got some personality. It's like a super angry bird. I think that's cool. Man, I just remember Angry Birds used to be a thing. Wow, how long ago was that? Like a decade? And its evolution, Fearow, is like really solid. I love the angular neck and everything. I love that it has like a totally different silhouette from Pidgeotto, because they're like kind of similar Pokemon. You know, they're both normal flying. You get both of them pretty early in the game. Their stats are both kind of similar, although Fearow learns Drill Peck, which I would say, at least in Gen 1 itself, kind of puts it a little bit above Pidgeotto for me, because that's just a really solid flying move. You know, Gen 1 Drill Peck, that's 80 power. Mind you, you can get Fly. Gen 1 Fly was actually a little bit weaker. It's 70. Doesn't that get stronger in later games? Like if I jump to Gen 5, yeah, that's 90 power by then. But also, Drill Peck's more reliable at 100 accuracy. And Spearow/Fearow starts with Peck, so it does start with a flying move, whereas Pidgey needs to wait all the way until it gets Wing Attack, which it doesn't really get super early. Ekans, that's Snake backwards! You have no idea how many times I heard that as like a kid on the playground. Oh, it was incessant. Like people just walk up to you and say it like their mind was just blown. It was so funny. All right, I'll be right back. I'm back. He just wanted pets. He wanted pets, but he specifically didn't want pets in this room. He wanted me to go downstairs and pet him near the front door. Just rocky behavior. Okay, Ekans, poison type. This is our first pure poison type we've had on the list. In general, I really like Gen 1 poison types. Part of that is probably just that I like purple. It's a nice color, and Pokemon uses really nice purples. But I like the design of it as well. The coiled snake and everything. I love the voice of it from the TV show. You saw it a lot. It got a lot of screen time because of Team Rocket. I think it's just a really cool Pokemon. I thought the move Glare was really cool, even though, like, it's just Thunder Wave, but not as good. Because in Gen 1, Glare can miss, but Thunder Wave can't. So it's not as good as Thunder Wave. Okay, hold on. I guess every move can technically miss in Gen 1 because of the 256 glitch, but you know what I mean. It's not 100 accuracy. I thought it's a cool Pokemon, but I think we can all agree Arbok is much more cool. Much cooler Pokemon. I love the design where it's got it looks almost like a big scary, kind of like a ghost face thing right here. And then, you know, the real head up top. It looks like a cobra. Its name is Cobra backwards, which is so lazy. I thought it was weird that the body looks a little worm-like because of the stripes, but like that aside, really cool Pokemon. It's a pretty high attack Pokemon if I remember right. Yeah, 85, not bad attack. In Gen 1, it had less, essentially, special defense because of that combined special stat, but still, it was a cool Pokemon. And if we look at the moves here, yeah, Glare, 75 accuracy, like, which isn't amazing, and it really doesn't learn any strong poison moves. So it's not like it was an amazing Pokemon in Gen 1 or anything. You could teach it like Earthquake and whatever. It could be strong. You could teach it Rock Slide for some reason. That's weird. Useful, but weird. It wasn't like an amazing Pokemon in Gen 1, but I did think it was pretty cool. I think it was a Red exclusive, if I'm not wrong. Next, we have Pikachu. Do I need to explain anything about Pikachu? How can you not know Pikachu? It's the mascot of Pokemon. It says right there. It's literally the most famous Pokemon ever made. Ever. This is what Pikachu looks like now. In Gen 1, it was a fat little thing. Even in the watercolor pictures of it and everything. Sorry, look at all of these links. It's all the way up here if I want to see sprites. That is crazy. Like the original watercolor designs of it and everything, it was like super fat looking. Like if we go here and we zoom in, you can see it doesn't have a neck. It's all just like, it's like a lump, you know? And I thought that looked pretty cool, actually. Oh no, we're so zoomed in now. I must fix. There we go. Also, shiny Pikachu looks really unbelievably lame. What? If this thing showed up, if you weren't paying close attention, you would not even notice this is a shiny. Look at these two. Look how similar they are. Oh, you can't see my cursor, can you? Whatever. Yeah, shiny Pikachu is unbelievably lame. You know, I'm gonna make it like a different color or something. I don't know. Anyway, Pikachu, it's a cool Pokemon. Obviously, the design is really good. It got famous for a reason. The design is cool. It looks cute. The face is very expressive. The lightning bolt tail is really cool. Everybody liked Pikachu's personality from the show. And it turns into Raichu, if you want to turn it into Raichu, which also looks really cool. I love the little twirl thing on the ear. I love that it has like a whip tail that ends in the lightning bolt. I think that's really cool. I like the chocolate dipped hands. It's not literally chocolate dipped hands, but it's chocolate dipped hands. And we of course have Alolan Raichu, who maybe the only design that I think looks a little, like I don't think I'd put that on my team, you know? It's not bad. I think I like regular Raichu more. I do like that it's surfing on its tail, though, and it's a Alolan. I do think that's cool. And of course, Raichu, not an amazing Pokemon. Neither is Pikachu. Not in Gen 1 they weren't, that's for sure. But they worked. You could use not amazing Pokemon in Gen 1 and be just fine just because Gen 1 is insane. Sandshrew. I love Sandshrew a lot. I really like the design of Sandshrew. I love the kind of like sandstone block design. And it's still kind of like a mouse or a shrew or whatever. It's almost like it's wearing like an armored outer shell, you know? And it was kind of a tanky Pokemon. I love ground types in general. I think they're really cool. I love Alolan Sandshrew, which is absolutely adorable. It's just an igloo version of it. Sorry, my nose is all plugged and I can't talk normally. I can breathe, I promise. I didn't know that this is Ice Steel. Huh, I would have guessed just ice. I had no idea steel was involved. But Sand Slash is very cool, where it gets rid of the sandstone blocks and has these like quills and stuff and these huge talons. I think that's such a cool design. I love that the ice version of it has like ice spires instead. That's really cool looking. Sandslash in general is just like a pretty strong Pokemon. I remember finding it very good in Pokemon Stadium, that's for sure. Okay, Nidoran. So I thought Nidorino, Nidorina, you know, like all of that, Nidoking, Nidoqueen, is really interesting and feels very Gen 1 to me. Back when, again, Pokemon were monsters. They were pocket monsters. Where this Nidoran and its evolution line looks way more like a monster in a 90s JRPG. You know, like if we skip ahead here, Nidorina and Nidoqueen especially look like they'd be monsters you fight in a dungeon in like an SNES RPG, right? And then Nidoran, just regular female Nidoran, almost feels like it was probably made after, where they just needed like a first form, where they had like these in mind, and they're like, oh, we need a first form, what would it look like? It would look like this. And yeah, that is totally what it would look like. It bugs me slightly that the color changes from each one. Maybe it's supposed to show that it's maturing. Maybe that's it. But I really like the design of Nidoran, both male and female, Nidorina, Nidoqueen. I feel like there isn't really a whole lot to say about each individual one. I don't even know what they're supposed to be based on, because it says Poison Pin. Obviously, it's not a drill Pokemon. It doesn't even have a drill. What? If I, like, go to Trivia and Origin... Rodents? Really? Would not have... Well, the first form is a little rat-like, I guess? May reference the mythical moon rabbit. What? Okay. I've never heard of the mythical moon rabbit. Maybe that's a Japanese thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm an uncultured swine. And then, of course, male Nidoran. It's like the same thing, but with more of a horn on its forehead. It's a cool looking purple. I guess I kind of like male Nidoran more than female Nidoran, just because I like the purple color scheme more. And I like all the spikes and everything. I think that looks really cool. But really, both of them are cool Pokemon. I think that the blue, I mean, this blue, I'm not as hot on. That's a little more like water type blue to me. But these blues and this kind of off purple, it's kind of like light purpley blue, and then this bluish thing. I think these colors are really nice. And then these purples are really nice. See, this is one thing too, is why is it Nidoran, Nidorina, and Nidoqueen, their blue changes each time, but with the male ones, the purples are all the same. Maybe they made the male ones later. Wasn't it like either Nidoking or Rhydon were the first Pokemon ever designed? I think it was Rhydon, which in fairness, Rhydon looks a lot like Nidoking. Clefairy. I like Clefairy, cool design. Apparently, I heard, I don't know if this is true, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, Clefairy was the Pokemon they originally thought would be the mascot of Pokemon, and I can understand why looking at it. They were right in guessing that the cute Pokemon would have gotten really popular. They just picked the wrong cute Pokemon, I guess. The eyes always looked a little Charlie Brown to me. Where it's the floating pupil and then it's got the little like expression lines next to it. It always looked like surprised Charlie Brown to me. But I like the design of Clefairy. I like the idea of it like living in Mount Moon and stuff, and they sing their songs and whatever, and they have Metronome, which is the worst move ever. Splash is the worst move ever, but you know what I mean. I like Clefairy. I think Clefairy is really cool. And to me, it's like the quintessential normal type, but now that it's fairy type, yeah, I understand that change. I mean, it's the fairy Pokemon, it's called Clefairy. If there's any Pokemon you're gonna go back and turn into fairy type, it's gotta be Clefairy, right? So that makes total sense to me. And Clefable, cool Pokemon. It looks like an evolution, you know, is it but bigger. It's kind of creepy that the face is about the same size and the body gets way bigger and everything. I think that's a little weird. I also wish it was a little bit more pink rather than getting a little bit muted of colors. But either than that, this looks like a proper evolution to me, where you can definitely tell this is the bigger, stronger version of that. Just like how Midian, the pro wrestler, definitely evolves into The Undertaker. We confirmed this in WWF WrestleMania 2000. We confirmed this in WWF WWF No Mercy Plus, both of which playthroughs I've done on this channel. You can find them in the playlist section. Oh, coffee is so good. Vulpix. I love Vulpix. I love the haircut. I thought the haircut is so cool. He's got the tails and everything. The Alolan one is also a very cool redesign of it. You're going to hear me say that about basically every Alolan Pokemon. Alolan Pokemon are so cool. Yeah, I love the design of Vulpix, especially the hair. I think the hair is what makes it. If you chorp off the hair, it's too generic for me. There's something about the haircut that really gives it some personality. I don't know, I'm getting like a 1940s American vibe from it. You know what I mean? There's something about it that's just great. If you took the haircut off, if you like Photoshop the hair off and just give it a regular fox head, I think it's a little too boring. I like the color of the eye. It almost looks like a gemstone, but it has a very animal looking eye. You know what I mean? A lot of Pokemon eyes in Gen 1 are the pupil, a big color around it, and then a lot of white. And I'm not opposed to that. I do actually like that a lot. This has the kind of the gemstone eye that I feel like more Gen like 5 Pokemon tend to do that kind of thing. I could be No, because Gen 5 Pokemon have more of a pupil still. Now, Vulpix doesn't have a pupil, but it does have, like, the shine, which kind of plays the same role. You know what I mean? Then we evolve over to Ninetales. How can you not love the design of Ninetales? It just instantly becomes so majestic and everything. You have kind of the white flamish look. You still have, like, the orange accents on the end of the tails and everything. It still looks enough like a fire type, although if you saw it on its own and you didn't know about Vulpix first, I wouldn't blame you for thinking it's normal type. I mean, color scheme-wise, it's similar to Persian. It's got the red eye. I think that's cool. Instead of kind of like an ashy ember, like grayish brown, I guess you would call it. I could take that in Photoshop and figure it out. But instead, you swap it out for like a red gemstone looking eye. I think that looks really cool. Obviously, it's based on like a Japanese legend of a fox with 9 tails who I think grants wishes or something like that. The Alolan one is pretty cool. I don't think I like its design as much as I like Alolan Vulpix. I wish it kept a little bit more of the fluffiness. This is too wispy, not fluffy. You know what I mean? This almost looks like it should be Ice Ghost, but it's Ice Fairy. I can see the fairiness. Also, this picture just looks really old school Disney to me. I don't know why. Okay, old school Disney. Hold on, Disney's been around a long time. Different people have different definitions of old school. This looks really 90s Disney to me, which is not a bad thing. But I like original Ninetales more. I think original Ninetales is a very cool looking Pokemon. We go over to Jigglypuff. Amazing design. I love Jigglypuff. Very fun to play in Super Smash Brothers. I used to play Jigglypuff in Melee every once in a while, and that was always a fun time. Although, I was a Captain Falcon player. I love the design of Jigglypuff a lot. I love the personality of Jigglypuff. I love that it sings into its microphone and gets offended when people fall asleep, not understanding that that's its power. It just thinks they're being rude, and so it pops up in the back of the microphone. It has like a marker and it draws and doodles over people's faces. That's amazing. I love Jigglypuff. It's another one of those quintessential normal types to me, but like, again, I understand why you would make it fairy. I like that they made it normal fairy though, because I feel like that adds just a little extra dimension to it, because it was always a little bit samey with Clefairy. I feel like keeping that normal type on Jigglypuff after Gen 6 onward, that gives it just a little bit more of a difference, which I think is important. Wigglytuff, on the other hand, I kind of like it. I don't dislike it. It's got like the bunny ears. It's got the floof on the forehead. Something about it feels like an alternate reality Chow from like, you know, the Chow from the Sonic games? Dude, I love the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I used to stream that a lot, like legit 12 years ago, and I'm gonna be streaming the Chow Garden again at some point, I promise. Because I don't even like Sonic Adventure 2 that much. I grew up with it and I don't like it that much. However, the Chao Garden, dude, I will suffer through stages I hate repeatedly just to get drives for my Chao. I love the Chao Garden. Anyway, Wigglytuff has some kind of Chao-like quality to it that I'm not entirely sure how to describe. The floof on its forehead almost reminds me think of the little floating ball that gives emotions above a Chao's head. I don't know, and just like the rounded shapes and everything that kind of, you know, they round, but they're not totally round. Like it comes to like a little, not a point, but you know what I mean? It kind of tapers in a little bit into some curve. It's an interesting design. It's kind of a cool Pokemon, but I'm not super feeling it, you know? We have Zubat. I adore Zubat. I've always adored Zubat. It wasn't amazing in Gen 1. The moveset was a lot more limited. Look, every moveset was very limited in Gen 1. But like Leech Life was very weak back then, and Leech Life was terrible against other Zubats. And so a lot of kids on the playground were in Leech Life duels for like 10 straight minutes with like the default text speed and animations on, Zubat versus Zubat, trying to grind up their Zubat. It was horrible. Why they did that, didn't just fight people outside, I don't know. But like grinding a Zubat from the beginning was really awful in Gen 1. But I really like the design of Zubat. I really like what Zubat is. And more importantly, Golbat is super cool. I really like Golbat. Oh man, especially when Pokemon Stadium came out, I had like a whole new appreciation for Golbat. 1, because it's a good Pokemon, but 2, it looked so cool in Pokemon Stadium. If I go to sprites, Stadium's not on this, right? No, Stadium's not on this, which is a real shame. But it looked so cool in Stadium, and like the animation for it was so great. Now it looked crazy in Gen 1. Absolutely nuts, but like it's kind of a nuts looking Pokemon in general. It's almost like a cartoon character. You know? Okay, it's literally a character in a cartoon, I understand, but you know what I mean when I say that, right? It's very over the top, it's very cartoony. Its body and shape is so malleable, you know? It's got this giant hanging open mouth. It makes me think of like a cartoony Pokemon version of a Mutalisk from StarCraft, you know? Those things are fun. I was a Zerg player in StarCraft. Although, the Terran have the best music. And I hate the Protoss. It's not just because I got cannon rushed all through high school in StarCraft 2. Although that's a contributing factor. I love Golbat. Golbat is like super cool Pokemon. I love the design. I love that it's poison flying. I don't think I could learn Fly in Gen 1. Am I wrong? Let's see. Yeah, I couldn't learn Fly. Wing Attack was its only flying move. Wing Attack was some real trash. If I jump to like a different generation, I jump to like Gen 5. Can it learn Fly now? It can learn Fly. Cool. What gen did it start learning Fly? Not 2. Not 3. Gen 4 is when it could learn Fly. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, cool. I'm happy it can learn it now because I would happily have it be my flying Pokemon on any Pokemon game where possible. I love Golbat. As for my opinions on Crobat, I guess I'll have to stay tuned for the next episode, whenever that happens. I don't know. Depends on how long this takes to make and how much you enjoy it. Oddish. Weed Pokemon. Oddish is super cool. I always thought the design was really cool. It's just like a little, it looks like a turnip with a smile on it. It's not a turnip. It's like a clump of dirt with feet and some leaves on its head and everything, you know? It's like you uprooted a weed or something. Although weeds don't really have leaves like that, but like whatever. It's not the most exciting first form. It's one of those things where I think they made the second and third form first, and then they're like, okay, but what would the first form look like? And they came up with Oddish, you know? I like its little face. I think the face really makes it. But what I really like, Gloom. Gloom is really cool. That is a Pokemon to me. It's got so much personality. It's such a little weirdo. It looks dangerous. I forget what the name of this kind of flower is, but I think they smell absolutely horrible. if I remember right. They're like this really disgusting jungle flower that smells horrible, but they're massive. So I can understand the poison typing on it, although most grass types in Gen 1 are also poison type. I love the design of it. I love that it like dances around and stuff. It's just this weird little drooling weirdo. And then eventually you get Vileplume. It's got kind of the oddish happy face back on it. I kind of personally wish it went more into like a more weird version of Gloom's face. I keep circling with my mouse, like as if you can see my mouse. You can't see my mouse. Maybe I should make it so you can see my mouse. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna do it. You can't stop me. I'm gonna do it right now, and I'm not even gonna edit this bit out. You can't stop me from not editing this bit out. There we go. That made everything go black. That just broke. Hey, it's back. Hey, you can see my mouse now. This little weird face, I kind of wish it went like that, but farther, instead of going back to kind of an oddish-like face. Either than that, though, design, perfectly cool. I like that this thing blooms into the big, gross-smelling flower. I wish it had more of a gross face, because it's supposed to be a gross-smelling flower. It just says flower Pokemon. It also turns into Blossom, but, you know, we'll have to get into that in the Gen 2 video, whenever that occurs. We have Paras. Paras is legit one of my favorite first-generation Pokemon. I love it. I love the design. I love that it's Bug Grass. That's a cool type combo, that this was the only Bug Grass Pokemon in Gen 1, to my memory at least. I love the design of it and everything. I love that it's like a little crab bug dude, and it's got these mushrooms on its back, but as the mushroom grows, it like takes over its mind, and it has the dead eyes and everything, and it's being controlled by the mushroom now, instead of being controlled by the actual crab, you know? Like the parasite became the host. I think that's it's kind of creepy, but Gen 1 was a little bit creepy sometimes. Like even just listen to the Gen 1 trainer battle music. It's more like you're in like a dangerous fight, you know? It's more spooky, not spooky, scary, and then you got like Lavender Town, everything. Gen 1 tried to be more intense, more monster, more scary, without being scary. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love Paras, and its special move that no one else had of Spore. Yeah, slow Pokemon, so you don't often go first, but Spore, 100 accuracy sleep move in Gen 1, where sleep was totally overpowered. Man, that was dangerous. That was so dangerous. I love Paras and Parasect. Both are great. Shoutouts to Paraspector, great YouTube channel. Venonat. Okay, I gotta open a picture of Venonat here. I'm gonna open a picture of Venomoth. Ha! Gonna open a picture of Venomoth. Okay, so I have them in tabs that I can switch to, right? First, I'll give you my opinions on them, then I'll tell you the thing that I hinted at earlier. Okay, Venonat, Venomoth, I really like them. I really like these designs. I love the color scheme. I love the Pop-Tart color scheme. I like bug types in general in Gen 1. I think a lot of the bug types are cool. I like bug types in general, I guess. But bug types in Gen 1 are all pretty cool looking. I love that it's kind of like a dust mite or something, you know? But it's like a venomous gnat. It's just this weird, freaky little hopping dust bunny thing with little fangs and little grabby hands and whatever. And then it evolves into, obviously, a moth, big eyes. It learns like a psychic move or two. I think it had Psybeam, which I thought was pretty cool. Does it learn any poison attack moves? Probably just Poison Sting. Wow, no, it didn't even learn Poison Sting, just Poison Powder. Wow, that's crazy. No poison attacking moves. Poison Powder and Bitima can learn Toxic. Yeah. It wasn't great in Gen 1, to be honest. Beyond, it can learn like some Psychic moves, and Psychic moves are really strong in Gen 1. But I like the design of it, and I like the Pokemon. But we need to get into the elephant in the room. This is a Caterpie. This is a Butterfree. This is a Venonat. This is a Venomoth. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Doesn't it kind of look like this should evolve into this? Look, the color scheme is really similar. They have the exact same hands, just a different color. The feet are really similar. They have the same antenna, just a different color. The eyes are almost the same. They both have a little nose with 2 fangs coming out of it. Does it not look like Venonat was supposed to turn into Butterfree? That's weird, right? But then look at this. Caterpie, right? Venomoth. I kind of feel like Caterpie has more in common with Venomoth than Venomoth does with Venonat. Look, the eyes are completely different than they are from Venonat. It doesn't have the little grabby hands. It doesn't have the feet. This doesn't even look like it turns into a moth. This doesn't look like some kind of... This doesn't look like it would cocoon and turn into something. This doesn't look like a worm or anything, but Caterpie... Hold on, Caterpie kind of looks like a worm kind of thing, And it could turn into a moth, You ever seen moth worms? I unfortunately have. Ever seen mothworms before? This doesn't really look super like a mothworm. It does look more like a caterpillar, turns into a butterfly, but the eyes, it's a big black pupil with a colored outside ring. Big black pupil, colored outside ring. It's got a horn on the forehead that turns into a bigger looking horn thing on the forehead. It's got no legs. I guess it has like tiny little hand-like things. And this has no legs. It's kind of got tiny little hand-like things. I don't know, man. I kind of feel like Caterpie was probably supposed to turn into Venomoth, and Venonat was probably supposed to turn into Butterfree, and they changed it around at some point before the games launched, because they had a different idea in mind they wanted to roll with, but they didn't really redesign them. Just... Ever since I heard that theory and I really looked at the Pokemon back and forth, I'm like, wow, yeah, it does look like that to me. Oh Lord, we're only a third of the way in. Oh, Gen 1's gonna take a while. Hey, at least Gen 2 introduces less Pokemon. Ugh. Sorry, I'm getting tired of my own boring video. Why does anyone watch? Diglett, also a lowland Diglett with hair, with like 3 Charlie Brown strands of hair. I love Diglett. Look, I get that it's just a lump coming out of the ground. I get that there's a lot of games that have a nearly identical enemy. Like Paper Mario has an enemy that looks just like this. I get it, but like, I don't know. I kind of like how unique it is, And there's also the mystery of like, what does it look like underground? People like doing the art where like, it's got a big buff burly, like Machamp looking body underground. I think that's really funny. Even though it probably just has like claws. It's probably just a little tube mole. It's a little hot dog, little sausage dude. I really like it though. It's got like kind of the really long eyes, the very vertical eyes. One that makes me think of like Paper Mario, but 2, I like that it has like the very vertically long eyes because that kind of matches how it's, it's like a tube-shaped Pokemon. Diglett, it literally is like a mole that's just always digging, always underground. I don't know. I think that's kind of a fun random enemy to fight in caves. And of course, Dugtrio. I think that the regular Dugtrio, like this, looks a little boring. In a lot of drawings of it, they all have the angry eyebrows, If we go to the sprites, if I can find the... No, I'm just blind, dude. I'm just gonna do this. Because I'm absolutely blind. Here we go. Dugtrio, you can see in older designs of it, it had angry eyebrows. Okay, those kind of look like those are actually open mouths. That's just a bad drawing. This one's better. There we go. They have the angry eyebrows. I like that a little more. I think that's kind of cool. Did they have it in like the later games? Yeah, even in Gen 3, they had the angry eyebrows. Wonder when they got rid of that. Well, in Gen 6, they don't look angry anymore. The shiny one looks like it has a blue mustache. Pokemon Black? No, they still have angry eyebrows in Pokemon Black. I guess they chilled out by Gen 6. Yeah, Gen 6 is when they stopped being angry. Man, petition Nintendo. Bring back Angry Dugtrio. I prefer when Dugtrio was angry. This thing was a meat grinder in Gen 1, because crits are based on your base speed in that game, and look at that base speed of 120. And this thing could massacre you. And I mean, Dig in Gen 1 had the same power as Earthquake. It was a 100 power ground move. Dugtrios were unbelievably strong Pokemon in Gen 1. So fast, so powerful. Yeah, their health was terrible, but they're one-shot machines. So like, what do you even need the health for? You know? And they learn Slash, which they crit with all the time because of their high speed. Such a good Pokemon. And then there's like the Alolan one with the wigs. It's a funny gimmick. I don't like the color scheme as much. Minor complaint, I know. But yeah, man, they're better when they're angrier. They're maybe a little bit boring because it's just 3 Digletts, but I still think it's kind of funny and I like it, you know? Meowth. Everybody loves Meowth. I love Meowth. I love that it's like one of those Chinese fortune cats. You know what I'm talking about? With the coin on the forehead and it does the little pose and everything. In fact, in some of the early drawings of it, in the sprite data. Here we go. The original one is basically doing the same pose. You see? It's a little on the nose maybe. It almost looks like a piggy bank. And they change it a bit later on. I thought the red sprite was like really good. I think that shows his personality so much better. Whereas the yellow sprite was a little boring. I think that was more based on just the TV shows one, but it's just not a great sprite to be honest. Whereas like the gold and silver ones are so good. Like, that's great. That's like a good evolution of the earlier pose, but the silver one is so perfect. Look at that. Oh, the emotion. I love that gold and silver had different sprites, by the way. I thought that was so cool. It has way too much motion going on in black and white. That's my complaint with a lot of non-Gen 5 Pokemon in black and white, though. What is this? Let's go Pikachu. It's just like borderline T-posing. That's so boring. Anyway, I love the eyes. I love the sinister cat eyes it's got going on with the super like vertical pupil thing going on. I love the whiskers coming off the top and the sides and everything. You know that this guy's up to no good, you know? Alolan one, pretty cool. I don't like it as much as the original. We have the Galaran one who looks like an absolute monster, kind of like it. And then what is this, the Gigantamax one? I like it just because of how silly it is. But Meowth, great Pokemon. Persian is also a great Pokemon, but it's one of those Pokemon where like, I kind of like the design of Meowth more with the coin on the forehead and everything. I feel like Persian's got less personality to it. I don't know. I still like it. I almost kind of wish that Persian was its own solo form Pokemon like Tauros. You know what I mean? I feel like Persian would be better as that and maybe like change it up a little bit just so it doesn't look so much like Meowth. I think Alolan Persian is not great. I really don't like its head. I don't know, it just doesn't look right. It looks like a fan Pokemon almost, but not a particularly good one. It's a shame. It really is a shame because Pikachu, I just called Meowth Pikachu because Meowth is awesome. Psyduck's cool. I love the absolutely minuscule pupils on Psyduck. I love the round shape. I love that it's always holding its head because it constantly has a headache. I love that like it has psychic powers, but it like has such a weak control over it. It's like its own psychic powers are giving it a headache, you know? I always thought it was weird it's not psychic type. I always forget and think it's psychic type, right? Because like Psyduck, why wouldn't you think it's psychic type? How weird is that, right? So like, it's a cool Pokemon though. Like I like the design. It's a little bit generic duck, I guess, but I think the face is what makes it and the funny little haircut. I always really liked Golduck. In my original playthrough of Blue that I beat the game, I had a Golduck. My Golduck was solid. I had like Golduck and Alakazam and stuff. My Golduck was one of my favorite Pokemon. As an adult, I think I like Psyduck more as a design, but Golduck is still cool. I almost feel like it should probably evolve from something else though. You know what I mean? I don't know. And also the fact that it's not psychic type is weird. This looks more like a blue version of, what's that Japanese mythical creature, like a kappa, I think it's called? It looks almost like it should evolve from that, you know? I almost wonder if these two Pokemon, it was another one of those things where like, they had different designs and they kind of slap them together and were like, maybe this can evolve into this. I always have really loved Mankey, just this super angry circular monkey that like does martial arts. I always thought it was really cool. I love the design and everything, and I especially love that when it evolves, it gets these like metal bracers and it has like boxing glove-like hands. You know, it goes from paws to boxing gloves because it just jumps on you and just mauls you. A little karate pig monkey demon. I love this guy. Again, you can see the personality. It's got like the bulging vein on the forehead symbol there, right? Like it looks furious at all times. It got these this is what I'm thinking of when I think Gen 1 eyes in Pokemon, where it's got this little pupil. It's got a very angular eye where it's almost like a triangle with a white background. That's a very Gen 1 Pokemon eye to me. And it looks so perpetually angry. I love that. Great fighting type. I mean, fighting type moves in Gen 1 were awful for the most part, but the Pokemon design is cool. Growlithe, everybody loves Growlithe. I love Growlithe. Fun design. You can tell immediately at a glance this is a fire type. I love how it looks. Puppy Pokemon, Scout Pokemon, Scout Pokemon must be this one. Is that Galarian? No. Okay, it's the newer thing that I don't know how to pronounce. I mean, this looks kind of cool. I like the spike on its head. Is this supposed to look like a World War I German helmet or something? I don't know. But yeah, everybody loves Growlithe. I love Growlithe. And Arcanine is such a perfect evolution. This looks like a proper final form evolution, you know? It still has the stripe things, the black stripe things. The colors change just a little bit, but it still works. The fur has grown out more. It's got kind of like motion fur coming off of it, where like it looks like it would run fast, you know? Like there's something trailing behind it. So it kind of puts over that Arcanine is a fast Pokemon. I don't know, I feel like it has a lot going for it design-wise. But we're getting into Poliwag, and I love this whole evolution line. Okay, Poliwag has got like the big spiraling, it's supposed to be like a frog's intestines, which is kind of gross, but I grew up in Dunville, where there was a lot of creeks. I played in a lot of creeks growing up, where there's a lot of tadpoles and frogs and stuff. I always thought that was really cool. So, you know, I was around a lot of tadpoles growing up and a lot of frogs. So I think Poliwag is very cool. More importantly, I thought Poliwhirl is such a cool design where they give it these like almost Mickey Mouse gloves, you know? I guess they're kind of boxing gloves though, because they don't have fingers, just a thumb. I don't know, something about this design I really love. It almost looks like some of the frog enemies in Chrono Trigger, which... Did Chrono Trigger come out before Pokemon? I think it came out after Pokemon came out in Japan, but before Pokemon came out in the Americas, if I understand right. I could be wrong. Chrono Trigger, great video game, by the way. I most recently replayed that through like 2 years ago, and it's aged so well. I love that game. So good. Don't get the Steam version. The Steam version's buggy and awful. Poliwhirl. I absolutely love Poliwhirl. I think it's super cool. Now, Poliwrath. I do like it. But do I like it? Do I like it more than Poliwhirl, though? This looks more like a Mega Man boss to me. I almost feel like Poliwhirl should have a split evolution to two different things. Poliwrath is one, and then maybe the other one is like... Psychic. Politoed isn't psychic, is it? No, it's just water. We'll get into Politoed another time when we get into Gen 2. I'm not so hot on Politoed, spoiler alert. I'm not feeling it, you know? I'm not feeling it. But Poliwrath, it is a cool Pokemon. It's a little slower than Poliwhirl, if I remember right. But it is a cool Pokemon. I like that they add fighting type. That gives it a little more variety over other kind of generic water types, because there are a lot of water types in Gen 1. Or at least it feels like there are. It's cool. I think I like Poliwhirl more though. Abra's really cool. I like it just being this weird little doll child thing where it's like it has this tremendous psychic power, but it doesn't know how to utilize it yet. You go to Kadabra and it has like the spoon bending thing. I like that. It's got a very cool design. I don't know what animal it's supposed to look like. It's kind of bug-like with his big weird tail and his weird feet and everything, but the mustache and everything, where it looks almost like a psychic, you know, like one of those scam show psychics, you know, and it's got the spoon that it bends and whatever. Turns into Alakazam, where it's got the bigger mustache and the two spoons, very angular face and the clawed feet and whatever, you know. Honestly, I think I like the design of Kadabra more than I like the design of Alakazam, but they're so equal that like I don't dislike Alakazam at all. And of course in Gen 1, Kadabra, Alakazam, these things were absolute meat grinders. It was unbelievable how dangerous these things were in Gen 1. They were nigh indestructible. Like, yeah, they're physically frail, but Psychic was incredibly powerful in Gen 1. They crit like you wouldn't believe. Their moves are just unstoppable. Like, yeah, just nothing you can do. Is this Mega Evolution? I've never even seen this, and that is hideous. Yeah, that is ugly. I get what they were going for, but I am not feeling it. I like the idea of like the baggy sleeves and the shoulder pads. That's kind of cool. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it. Machop. I like this evolution line. They're pro wrestlers. Machop is kind of whatever. I don't really have any strong feeling about Machop. Again, this is one of those things where I think they made like Machoke and Machamp first. They probably made Machoke first. And then they're like, okay, but what does the first form look like? I don't know, like a kid. I don't know. It just looks kind of creepy, you know? I'm not super into it, but Machoke, cool Pokemon. He's got his title belt there. He even has a P for Pokemon, I guess. But he, you know, you guys know I love pro wrestling. Oh, sorry. For a second, I thought he had the wrong number of toes. I was like, wait a minute. No. Cool design. Kind of looks like one of the early designs of Pokemon where they're a little more monster-like. And of course, Machamp is a great final form of that, where it's like he's got an extra set of arms. He looks really weird in Platinum, though. Okay, I gotta show you this in case you didn't see my Pokemon Platinum Let's Play, where I point this out. Okay, sprites. Let's check it out in Platinum. When he's not flexing and whatever, when he's just in his idle pose right here, doesn't it look like he's like a Geodude? He's a head with arms attached, and he just happens to be like perched on top of a Machoke's body. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? It's like, you know those like cutouts at like theme parks where you put your face in the cutout and you're like, hi, and you got the body of someone else? That's what's going on here, and this is just like a floating Geodude. He also kind of looks like he's from Battletoads. I don't know, it looks crazy. But like actual Machamp, yeah, Machamp's cool. I gotta speed this along. I still have to do my stream today. I'm recording this in April. I'm doing my streaming every day in April thing. Bellsprout. I love Bellsprout. I caught a Bellsprout. I accidentally put it in the daycare for, I don't know, a year. Maybe a year, I don't know. Maybe probably less. Bellsprout, not a super interesting design. It kind of looks like an Earthbound enemy, which makes sense because I know a lot of the people who worked on Mother 1, it's sometimes also called Earthbound 0. It was the game that came before Earthbound. It was Japan only for a long time. A lot of the people that made that game later went on to make the original Pokemon games. So that makes sense that it kind of looks like one of those enemies. I think Weepinbell is one of the coolest Gen 1 designs, where it's this floating, like, snare trap plant thing with its mouth, and it eats people and stuff, and it's got this poison spit and whatever. I think it's a really cool design. And then of course you get to Victory Bell, which is like the big final form Sinister version. I think these three are such a perfect trio of, it very clearly looks like one evolves into the other. It keeps its like design feel the whole time. The color scheme stays the same the whole time. You can very clearly tell a difference between all of them. It's not like Pidgeot and Pidgeotto where they're too similar. Oh, it's getting really humid in here. Oof, maybe it's gonna rain soon. I hope not. And it's very clear to tell at a glance which one is stronger. You know, you can tell this one is the most dangerous one with these evil looking eyes hiding underneath the lip, you know? So good. Tentacool, I love Tentacool. Very strong Pokemon, actually. Tentacool, its evolution. I like Tentacool a lot, though. I love the design. I love the big jellyfish look where you think these are their eyes, but then it's got these little eyes just below the surface and these stinging tentacles and stuff. Looks dangerous, you know? People say, like, oh, it's the Zubat of the water. Kind of is. One, because you run into it all the time, and two, just like Zubat, it becomes really strong. Tentacruel is an amazingly powerful Pokemon, but especially in Gen 1. Tentacruel was so powerful. Of course, it's part poison type. I like my poison types. But the design of this is so cool. This terrifying, gigantic thing hovering just below the surface. It's like 5 feet tall. Ah, that's so cool. We got Geodude. He's a floating rock with arms, but I love him. I actually really liked his Gen 1 design, which I think they should have stuck with. Sprites. Check this out. Okay, this one looks rough, but look at this one. Where he's giving the thumbs up, and he kind of looks like he's got a pompadour. Like a haircut like a pompadour. I don't know, I think that fits with the name Geodude better, you know? But very, very quickly, they went more with this design, which is still good. I like it. I love the idea of this boulder that floats around and has these big muscular arms. The Alolan one is kind of cool too, but I like original Geodude, and like the eye color and everything is good. This is like the other Gen 1 eye I think of for a less sinister Pokemon, where it's got the pupil, it's got a bit of color around it, but it's still got a very angular looking eye box with or eyeball with the white background. He's serious, but he's not evil, you know? You got Graveler here. I think Graveler's pretty cool looking. I think this is a pretty natural evolution from Geodude. He definitely looks more sinister and everything, but I almost feel like this should be the final form. I kind of feel like it should have been a 2-form Pokemon. I think that they last minute just wanted to add more trait evolutions, and they're like, oh, we'll give Graveler a trait evolution. And they gave it Golem. I like Golem. I don't like it as an evolution of Geodude and Graveler. Why is it like all of a sudden a lizard coming out of a rock? I feel like this should be its own solo form Pokemon, you know? Like a Tauros or like Onix was in Gen 1. Why couldn't this have just been its own thing, you know? And if it was its own thing, you probably could have done something more interesting and unique with it. So Alolan Graveler, kind of cool looking. I do like Rock Electric. I think that's a cool type combo. And I do like this, where it's got this big plug thing on the top, or like a taser? I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. The facial hair, I think it looks a little weird on it, but I get that they had to make it look more different. If you just gave it the same head and just put a plug on top, it'd probably look kind of boring. But yeah, Golem's cool, but I kind of feel like it should be its own thing. Ponyta. Ponyta's all right. It's a little bit generic, but I do like how the fire looks on it and everything. It looks pretty cool. Rapidash also looks a little bit generic, but it's got like enough action to it. It's got all these flames coming off of it. This looks more interesting to me, but like, you know, Ponyta obviously evolves into Rapidash. That makes sense. Galarian. Looks a little too My Little Pony for my taste. Looks very cotton candy. I don't know. It's just not really my art style. The evolution one, I get it. You know, it's very unicorn. I'll give it credit for being very unicorn. That's kind of cool. Psychic Fairy, cool type combo. But it almost feels like you should have just taken this idea and made your own thing with it. There's no reason this had to be like a regional Rapidash. I feel like if they just did their own thing with it, didn't make it a regional, they could have gotten a little bit more creative with the design, make it a little bit more different, then you probably could have just come out with a better Pokemon. Slowpoke, love Slowpoke. Same reason I love or Psyduck. It's got like the tiny pupil eyes, and it's kind of doofy looking, goofy and weird. It's got the funny tail and whatever that it fishes with. I love the personality of both forms of it. It's just the kind of happy-go-lucky cartoon character thing. I like this water psychic. That's a cool combo. And I like Slowbro, where it's the same thing, but it's got a big angry thing biting onto its tail. I think that's pretty funny. The Galarian one where it's on his hand, that's kind of funny. Is that poison? Yeah, it's poison because it's like poisoning him. That's kind of funny. I like that. And this is a Mega one where it's displeased and been eaten too much. I don't know. I think that's kind of lame. Whatever. I really like Slowbro. I think Slowbro is really funny. It says Hermit Crab, but it doesn't really look like that to me. It looks like a generic sea creature thing. I don't know. I don't even know what you really call it. It's just, it's so unique. I really like it. Magnemite's cool. I think it's such a creative little design of like just electronics thrown together. It looks like the kind of thing brought together by magnetism with just spare parts sitting around in a box. I don't know how that works. But then again, there was a lot of like weird man-made-ish Pokemon in Gen 1, you know? There was, getting a little chilly. There was like a lot of, you know, like Grimer was man-made, not intentionally, but it just came up through pollution. I kind of got the idea that that's how this came about too, is just the whimsical world of Pokemon, you know, that this kind of thing could come together and become something, and then it creates more of them. I love that it's not fully attached, that the magnets can like float away from it and back to it to kind of emote, you know? That like this is not a designed thing. This is an accident. This just happened. You know, there's no practical use for it having these screws coming in and out of it and everything. It's just this is a spare parts box that came together. You know what I mean? I think that's so cool. And then you have Magneton. I get that it's a little bit lazy that you just take 3 of it again. I liked it with Dugtrio. I don't think you necessarily needed to do that with Magneton, but then again, there's the idea of it's magnetic, they're drawn together, and that these things all came from like a spare parts box or something. I get it. I do get it. What I would have liked to have seen is the similar idea where it's them coming together, but I want to see them coming together with more spare parts as well that are kind of connecting them more in some way. I do think it's cool that they've magnetized together, you know, like they're stuck together that way, but I feel like there should be more bits and bobs, like more things have gotten magnetically stuck to it. You know what I mean? I think that would have made it just a little bit more interesting, but otherwise, cool Pokemon. Farfetch'd, I love Farfetch'd. I think it's a cool looking Pokemon. I get that it's kind of a generic looking duck, but it's the fact that it has a leek that he uses like a sword. That's what makes it for me. It's also kind of cool that in Gen 1 it was a trade-only Pokemon, so it felt like a little bit rare and a little bit cool that way. I use a Farfetch'd in every single Kanto run I do, because it's my HM Pokemon. It's really easy to get. It's in a town you go to anyway. You pass the route to get Spearow anyway. You catch a Spearow, you trade for Farfetch'd, and there you go. You get something that has both cut and fly. So it's like really convenient. Life-giving water, nectar of the gods. I like Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd is cool, and it gets very powerful in later games when you can get it to crit constantly with Slash if you have a stick, or a leak, I think it calls it in the newest games. Doduo, I love Doduo, I love Dotrio, these are both cool ones. It's another normal flying. There's a lot of normal flying in the whole franchise, but I still like the idea of the dodo bird with multiple heads, you know? It's a cool design. I love that it's really fast and everything is a ground bird. It is very weird that it learns fly because it's a dodo, but I still like the idea of it. And Dotrio, you've got those classic Pokemon eyes with the, you know, it's very angular and it's got the little pupil and the rest is white and everything. I like the design of it. This looks like an evolution. I love that the heads fight with each other. It's got a little Three Stooges routine going on. I think that's really fun. Add some personality. Seel. Okay, well, the name sucks. I'm not huge on Seel. I like the moves. I like using Seel, but design-wise, it's kind of just whatever. I like that it has this kind of whale-like tail. It almost looks like it's like a water spout, you know, the way the tail spreads out like it's water spreading out from a fountain or something, right? I don't mind the face. The face is kind of cool. I like the spike and everything, but like, it's a little bland, you know? Still, it's a white water type. That's at least color variety, because a lot of water types are just blue. Then you have Dewgong. I love the water-ice combo. I like using Dewgong. I kind of like the face, but again, a little bit generic. I'm not super into Dewgong. I don't dislike it, but I don't know, it's just not all that interesting. Go over to Grimer. This is one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. I love me and my poison types. I love the design of Grimer. I love that it's this weird sewer monster made just from the pollution of man. It's almost like a zombie or something, or a ghoul, you know? And it's, I don't know, the design of it. I love this kind of always in motion with like the lines coming down it and everything. It's not necessarily evil. It's just, you know, this is the natural consequence of the pollution. And the Alolan Grimer also looks very cool. This looks actually more zombie-like to me, but it looks pretty cool. And of course, Muck is a totally sensible evolution. It's just, it has gotten bigger and out of control as more and more Grimers have come together. I think Muck is a really cool Pokemon. I don't get why it's only like almost 4 feet tall. Seems way too short, but whatever. Alolan Muck is quite cool looking too, where it's like got the rainbow effect of like an oil slick on the road. It's also got these little bits and stuff stuck in it. I think the design of both of these are really cool, but like especially original Muck, because I like that purple and everything. I like the big tongue in there, you know, the big blue tongue. I don't know, it gives zombie vibes, you know, poison zombie vibes in a way. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. Shellder, I like Shellder. Where it's just, who knows what it looks like? It's just this little thing hidden within the shell. You can't actually see its face. It's got this tongue sticking out and these weird little beady eyes and everything. I think it's a cool little Pokemon, a little basic, but you know, it evolves in the Cloyster, which is a lot more interesting looking. The floating ball looks weird to me. I don't know, it looks like a Gastly or something. The idea of the whole thing is cool. I like the idea of like the tankiest Pokemon Gen 1, because I think this has the highest defense in Gen 1. Yeah, 180! Tankiest Pokemon in Gen 1. I like the water-ice combo. I think it's a fun combo. I think the moveset is pretty fun as well. Design-wise, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's good. I don't know why it's never gotten a regional variant. I think this is the kind of Pokemon that could definitely benefit from a regional variant. Now, speaking of Gastly, hey, look, it's Gastly. Who doesn't love Gastly? Who doesn't love this whole evolution line? Everyone has their own favorite in this evolution line. Nobody seems to be the same, but, well, not nobody, you know, it's 3 choices, but you know what I mean? Like, people are pretty split between which one they like the most. I think I like Gastly the most in terms of design. There's something very cool about it being like a floating spirit ball that you can't fully comprehend what it looks like, you know? I think it looks pretty cool. The eyes floating off the body a little bit, the mouth and everything. I always thought it looks like this is... I always thought that this was like the... well, I didn't literally think this. I mean, I think that like... Just like how Venonat kind of looks like it could have turned into Butterfree, I always thought it kind of looked like this is the ghost of a coughing that exploded. Which, you know, coughings explode all the time. Explodes, becomes a Gastly. Because it's a ghost poison instead of a regular poison because it blew up. Maybe that was the original idea. I don't know. But I don't know. I think Gastly is a really cool Pokemon. Haunter is also a really cool Pokemon. I totally get why this could be your favorite. Where it's got like the sinister floating hands and the sinister teeth and everything and the spiky head and whatever, and it floats around. Still looks very ghost-like. Then you got Gengar. I like Gengar. Everybody likes Gengar. I don't think I like Gengar's design as much as Haunter. I think Gengar is actually my least favorite design of these 3 Pokemon, even though I do really like Gengar. I like the idea that this is like the evil counterpart of a Clefable. It really looks really looks like the evil counterpart of a Clefable. To go back to the Chow analogy, if Clefable is the hero Chow, Gengar is the dark Chow. You know what I mean? Just looks like an evil counterpart of it. Great Pokemon though, really like it. Onix, this is another one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. I really, really like the design of Onix. This screams boss Pokemon to me, which is a shame because in Gen 1, Onix was a terrible Pokemon. It has the same attack as a Pidgey. Its moveset is awful. It's low health and high defense, which means it's bad for Bide, the move that Brock gives it. I really like Onix. You guys know that if you've watched me for a long time, but not a great Pokemon in Gen 1. Still, I thought it's very cool. And when I first ran into one in Rock Tunnel, and it's like, whoa, that was like the boss Pokemon from the first gym leader. I can go catch one now. Oh my God. I thought it'd be so good. It wasn't so good. Drowzee, this is literally my favorite Pokemon ever, is Drowzee. I love Drowzee. I always thought it was really cool. I think it helps that like psychic moves looked really cool in Gen 1 and sounded really cool. And this is commonly the first psychic Pokemon people would get because Abra was really hard to catch, Drowzee was a lot easier to catch, and Sleep in Gen 1 was very powerful. So having Hypnosis was pretty nice, even if it's very inaccurate. Dream Eater is a really cool move. The design of it is really cool. It's a Tapir, which I really like Tapirs. There's just so much going for Drowzee that makes it really, really cool. I get that like people find the Pokédex entries for it creepy, but I still think it's a really cool Pokemon. I love the design, I love the color scheme, I love the personality, how emotive it is and everything. It's a little bit creepy, but it's also kind of cool. I just think it's such a cool Pokemon. I like that it's kind of physically capable despite being a psychic type. And also it helps that me and every other kid got stuck for ages before going to Rock Tunnel. So many kids didn't know that you had to go back and use Cut on that one random plant to get out east to Rock Tunnel. That's a place where on the playground, kids got stuck for weeks before people started discovering where you go. Next is Hypno. I like Hypno exactly as much as I like Drowzee. I always say that Drowzee is my favorite, but like they're equal to me. I don't dislike either one. I love the little swinging pendulum that he hypnotizes with. I love the design. I love the collar. I love the crazy nose, the angular eyes, and the angular ears. I love the color scheme. I love that they reincorporate the brown from Drowzee by having it still there on the inside of the ear. That's kind of cool, although you know, it's less dark of a brown, but you know what I mean. This looks like a proper evolution to me. I don't know. It's really cool. I guess the names are just a little bit lazy, but at the same time, it really gets over the idea that this is a sleep-based Pokemon. Krabby, I love Krabby. I think the design of Krabby is just a little generic, but I still really like Krabby. It helps I think Krabs are cool. But Kingler is much cooler. I think Kingler is very cool. It looks dangerous. It looks like it should be an enemy from like Banjo-Kazooie. Just maybe more sinister and less goofy than it would look in Banjo-Kazooie, you know what I mean? The ones in Banjo-Kazooie look very goofy. I think part of why it looks like a Banjo-Kazooie enemy to me is that the eyes are like mismatched in size, but that might just be that drawing, I'm not sure. Next we have, I forgot. No, I have seen that. I forgot there's a wooden one now. That's so cool. Okay, Voltorb. I love Voltorb. I get that it's literally you put eyeballs on a Pokeball, but I love the idea that there is a Pokemon that disguises itself as a very common item in the Pokemon world, but then if you go to pick it up thinking it's a Pokeball, it gets angry and explodes. I think that's so cool. I really like that. I don't like the design as much for the evolution. Hold on, what's the shiny look like for this again? Is it blue? Yeah, oh my god, that blue is such a gorgeous deep blue. How cool does that look? That looks so cool. Dude, I would love to have a shiny Voltorb. That is so cool looking. That is so cool looking. I love that. And this design is also really cool. I also like that it looks less angry. That's kind of funny. As for Electrode, I don't like it as much. I don't know, it's just a little... It feels a little lazy. I don't know. I feel like they gave it an evolution for the sake of having an evolution. I feel like Electrode probably doesn't need to exist. I think you could have made Voltorb a little stronger and just made Voltorb a single form Pokemon, and it would have been cool. I don't really think Electrode needs to exist. Controversial opinions, I know. I do think it's cool that the other form of it, the Voltorb is happy and the Electrode is angry. I think that's kind of funny. But like that and electric and grass, that's a cool type combo. That aside, yeah, I'm not really feeling it with Electrode. I don't know, some about the eyes I'm not feeling. It's just you turned it upside down and you made it happy now. I don't know, doesn't really do anything for me, you know? I like Voltorb more. Is the shiny on this blue? It's still a very cool looking blue. You know what? This though, I kind of like how that sprite looks, but still, I'm not super feeling it. I really like Exeggcute. Exeggute's cool. Whereas all these little sinister, evil looking eggs brought together with their psychic powers. That one's head is split open. That's kind of crazy. But still, I think it's a very cool Pokemon. I think its moveset was really cool in Gen 1. I think it was cool that you could only get it in Safari Zone, if I remember right. So it was a little hard to get, because Safari Zone in Gen 1 was, it was kind of a nightmare. There's a lot of Pokemon in Gen 1 that were very hard to catch because of the Safari Zone. Although there's a very easy glitch to get them outside of the Safari Zone, thanks to Cinnabar Island. For anyone who's curious, all you do is you can only do this in red and blue, but it's very similar to how you like get Missing No or how you duplicate rare candies. All you do is when you're in the you go into the Safari Zone, you go into whatever area has the Pokemon that you want, you walk around until they time you out and send you back to town, and then you fly straight to Cinnabar. You surf on the right side of the island, and you just surf straight up and down alongside the coast of the island. Don't go any farther off the coast, and the Pokemon you'll run into are the same Pokemon as whatever area you were in last. Towns don't update what Pokemon are in the area, so it'll use the Safari Zone Pokemon, so you can catch Safari Zone Pokemon through normal Pokemon battles that way. Anyway, Exeggcute, really cool Pokemon, like its moveset. I like that as Leech Seed, which is such a cool move in Gen 1. And I really like the design of Exeggutor. Alolan Exeggutor is very funny. I like it a lot. I actually adore that design. It fits because, you know, the palm trees. But Exeggutor in general, very cool Pokemon. I thought it was really strong too. It can be very dangerous. It can spam Stomp. It can Leech Seed. It can do all kinds of stuff. Exeggutor, it's weird. I never would have thought of this. If you told me to think of Pokemon ideas, I never would have thought of like a tropical tree with stampy feet and it has eggs instead of coconuts hanging from it. I never would have thought that up in a million years. Egg Pokemon turns into coconut tree Pokemon. Who comes up with this? I don't know, but I really like Exeggutor. Cubone is super cool. I love the tragic backstory. I love the design of it, where it's kind of like a little dinosaur dude, but it's got like the skull of its mother, and it's like a warrior with its cracked helmet, and its sword is its bone, you know? It's such a cool little design. I don't really get why it's ground type beyond they wanted another ground type, but I thought it's a cool Pokemon. And Marowak is a very cool evolution from it, where it's like, now it's grown up into a refined warrior. It's got a full helmet now, a full bone helmet. It's got like a full like bone weapon now that it can throw. The Alolan Ghost one is pretty cool too. I like the color scheme and everything. I love the kind of like teal flames. I always thought is really cool, especially with Ghost Pokemon. Yeah, Cubone and Marowak, just cool Pokemon. And plus, you remember the greatest Cubone of all time in the Pokemon Stadium Let's Play when we were fighting Mewtwo? That Cubone was a hero. Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, both super cool Pokemon. I love the design. I love that one punches, one kicks. The names are cool too. I love, this is a very unique eye for Gen 1, to have the dot, to have the white, but then to have this bigger black border. I don't know, makes it look really intense, you know? I kind of love that it's just like a thumb, a lump, but it's got these really long kicking legs, and it's always got its arms out for balance and everything, you know? And then you go over to Hitmonchan, and you got like the boxer, and he's got the boxing stance, he's all serious, he's got the hands up in guard, you know? He's got his fist at his cheek ready to block. He's got kind of like a gi on. He's got like the shoulder pads and everything. He almost looks like he almost looks like he's dressed like an early Fire Emblem character, like Marth or something, you know, like one of the early NES or SNES Fire Emblem games. Great games, by the way. I love those feet almost look like shoes, you know, and he's got the boxing glove hands and everything. God, just such cool designs. I thought it was really cool that Hitmonchan has these different elemental punches, although in Gen 1 he was awful with them. Hitmonlee was definitely the better Pokemon, at least in Gen 1, but man, cool Pokemon. Lickitung, I always thought Lickitung was really cool, just this weird, creepy, tanky normal type with this gigantic tongue. I don't know how I'd ever describe this to somebody. It looks more like a monster from Monster Rancher, you know? It's crazy looking, but I like those Pokemon where, like, I don't know what to describe this as. This doesn't even look like it's based off an animal to me. This is just some crazy thing an artist came up with, and I really like it. It's a monster. I don't know what to call it other than a monster, and I like the monster Pokemon. I like that it's a single form Pokemon. I think that's really cool. Yeah, it gets a baby form later, but still, like, cool Pokemon. It's a cool Pokemon. Coughing is my second favorite Pokemon ever, just behind Drowzee. I love Coughing. I love the face. I love the poison symbol. I love the smoke. I love that it floats around. I always thought it looked like it should have a hard shell, but apparently it's more balloon-like because it weighs almost nothing, and it kind of expands and everything. It's apparently the design was originally based off naval mines. And when you look at a naval mine and you look at Coughing, I can kind of see it. I wouldn't have guessed that until I heard that's what it was based off of. But yeah, I love Coughing. I don't know entirely what it is. Part of it's I like poison types, and I like that color of purple. It's not my favorite color. My favorite color is Cobalt, but I still really like those kinds of purples and everything. I love the design. I love the eyes. Love how it's happy, but it's kind of like a sinister happy. You know, it's got the little fangs and stuff. The shape of the eyes, where like the eyelid's half closed from the bottom and it's looking up. It almost looks like it's not all there, like it's a little crazy, you know? And then you have Wheezing, where it looks a little displeased. It almost looks a little bit unhealthy. It looks like it's grown tumors, and the tumors are even more coughings. This is one of those times where you have it's not the same thing as like Dugtrio or Magneton. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second. It's not just you shoved a bunch of the same Pokemon next to each other. This is like more coughings are growing out of a really big coughing, you know? Like this is actually it evolving to have more of it growing off of it. There's something a little creepy about that. You know, like the toxins and the poison is mutating it, you know? It's a mutant. That's cool. A little more monster-like. It's got these big fangs and these big teeth and everything. You can see like some of the coughings growing off of it have different symbols on them where it's not fully developed yet. You know, that one over there doesn't even have a face yet. And of course, the Galarian Wheezing, where it looks like a Victorian era factory with a smokestack and the big mustaches like an old-timey capitalist. That's just funny. I love that. I don't know why it's fairy poison, although I'm not going to complain. It's a great type combo. And then the green Smog is not great. I think if it was white Smog, it would actually look better, like, you know, the chimneys have. That's my only complaint with the Galarian one. I think that the mustache and the beard should be white, not green. That aside, very funny, very cool regional variant. I love Wheezing, though. What a cool Pokemon. Rhyhorn, Rhydon. I really like these ones. I don't tend to use them very often, although maybe I should, because they did get better as the games went on. You know, by Platinum, it was pretty solid. Rock Ground, a little bit of a generic combo, but that's all right. I do like Rock Ground. This is, again, a really quintessential Gen 1 Pokemon to me. This looks like a monster. It's a rhino made of rock. especially Rhydon, which I think is the first Pokemon ever designed. It's got a drill for a nose, and other than that, it's like a bipedal monster. Almost looks a little dinosaur-ish, you know, but made of stone. It's like a rhino dinosaur with a drill nose that spins. That's so cool. I really like that. I like that it has the lightning rod ability in the newer games too, because that kind of makes sense, because, you know, it like draws it in this ground type so it doesn't take damage from it. Chansey is a classic. Everybody likes Chansey. I like Chansey. I love that it has an egg and it's egg-shaped. I love that its little tendrils kind of looks like a haircut, and it's also similar to the Nurse Joy haircut. I thought that's kind of funny. The colors make me think very medical and everything. I love that it has super low defenses but crazy high health. Although in Gen 1, if you haven't seen this, look at this. In Gen 1, base special 105. In Gen 1, Chansey is scary. So scary. Have I done a Chansey run Gen 1? I probably have. But if you teach it like Ice Beam and stuff, Thunderbolt, not Psywave, okay, Psywave's garbage. Psychic, you teach it Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Psychic. Nothing is beating you ever. That thing is an indestructible monster. The only thing you can get it with is fighting moves, but fighting moves in Gen 1 were awful. So there's really no great answer, you know? Like, man, Gen 1 Chansey was a beast. There's a reason it was unbelievably hard to catch. Tangela was a cool one in that in Gen 1, at least in Red and Blue, the only place you could get it was this one little isolated patch of grass just below the starting town. I always love in a JRPG when there's some kind of big late game secret area right next to where you started. You know, I think like Breath of Fire 2, where there's this big, creepy, mysterious dungeon right next to where the game starts at the very beginning, and you don't get to revisit it till the end of the game. It's like where the game ends, you know? Breath of Fire 2, by the way, very cool game. Well, Tangela it's not the same thing. It's not that creepy and cool and intriguing, but you always see this patch of grass right below Palatown that you can't reach because you can't surf. And when you go there, it's Tangela. That's the only patch of grass outside of Yellow. In Yellow, they made it easier to get. That's the only patch of grass in Red and Blue that you could get Tangela. It wasn't amazing. The moveset was pretty bad, but you look at the stats here. Special was 100 in Gen 1. Look at that. Like, so it's got like high special defense as well in Gen 1 at least, because combined special stat. Not bad. Like, hey, with that high special defense and the high defense, that's a really tanky Pokemon. I like the design. A lot of Gen 1 Pokemon just have weird little boots when they don't know how to make it walk, which is funny. But I love the idea that it's like a tumbleweed of vines, you know? I think that's kind of cool. Go over to Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan, cool design. Again, this is one of those Gen 1 monster-looking Pokemon. It's kind of kangaroo, but it's more of like a monster with a dinosaur tail and everything, but it's got a little baby dinosaur in its pouch. Mega Evolution, having the baby dinosaur just jump out of the pouch and join in the fight is really funny, by the way. I like that. Kangaskhan's a cool Pokemon, and I like that it's a solo form. Sorry, people dropping bottles outside. I don't know if that picked up on the mic. It's a really cool baby solo form Pokemon, baby Pokemon. I don't know why they never had a baby form of it that's just this little dude. I think that would have worked, but like whatever. It's not a complaint or anything. It's just a question. I like that it has Dizzy Punch. I think it was the only Gen 1 Pokemon with Dizzy Punch. I think that was its Sig. Just a cool Pokemon. I like it a lot. I like a lot of normal type Pokemon actually, just in general. Horsey is a little bit boring. I don't have a problem with Horsey. I like the idea of a seahorse Pokemon, just it's a little bland, it's a little boring. Seadra is much cooler. I think they give it a lot of personality, gave it a little bit more texture, gave it the kind of spiky fins, gave it the spiral tail is a little bit more pronounced. It's got the big snoot that it shoots from, you know, can fire a water gun out of its mouth and whatever. I think that's very cool looking. I'm a big Kingdra fan, but we'll get to that when we get to the Gen 2 video. Kingdra's so cool though. What a cool evolution. Goldeen, I like Goldeen. It's a little silly. I know it's like literally just a goldfish with some extra fins and a little horn on top. You all know my rant about what's the difference between a Goldine's Peck and a Goldine's Horn Attack. If you read the entries on like the descriptions of the move, they're like the exact same thing, but somehow one is super effective against grass and one isn't. My running theory is it pecks with its lips like a peck kiss, because it's just funnier. But Goldine's kind of cool. Seaking. Yes, I immediately heard the Hank of the Hill YouTube video in my head. Not King of the Hill, Hank of the Hill. Google it. It's very funny. Seaking probably looks a little too generic. I don't like that they took kind of some of the personality out of the eyes, but in doing that, I think they made the eyes look a little scarier. Like this thing you can't reason with. This thing's not hostile. This is just a goldfish. It's a koi fish or whatever. It's not that dangerous. This thing's mean. You can't reason with this thing. It's got these little fangs on top of these big pursed lips, which is really funny looking. The horn's looking more menacing. It's got these spots and everything. It's got like kind of dangerous tiger colors. Got the big eye. I don't know, it looks a little sinister. I'm not super into Seaking or anything. It's not like one of my favorites, but it's all right. Staryu Starmie. I love Staryu Starmie. The noises they make are so cool in the game. I love the gem. I love the look of it. I love that they spin. I love how emotive they are as these weird little guys with no face, and yet they're like really emotive. I love that the evolution is Psychic type, because I thought Psychic was really cool. I love how this gemstone looks. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can properly put into words why I think Staryu and Starmie are so cool, but I just think they're really, really cool. I love the colors. I love that they learn Recover, because I thought that was such a cool move in Gen 1. I thought they were cool in the TV show. Just something about Staryu and Starmie really does it for me. Mr. Mime is cool. I love Mr. Mime. What a cool design. He's like kind of a mime clown looking guy. Makes sense that they made him part fairy type in the new games too. The Galarian one where he's part ice type looks awesome. I love him. I love the shoes. The shoes are so good, the little heel on it. I love that regular Mr. Mime's got a chic boots with the big curled toe and everything. Just, oh, it's so cool. I really like Mr. Mime. That Mr. Mime was a beast in Gen 1. Such a beast. And it was a trade-only Pokemon, which also made him like a little exotic, you know? No, Mr. Mime is cool. Scyther, another really cool Pokemon. Bug flying, although I don't think he could fly. I think he learned Wing Attack and that was about it. Super dangerous Pokemon in Gen 1. Very fun Pokemon, very cool design. I love the idea of a praying mantis, but instead of just like its hook arms, it's got straight up blades. Like it's swinging two swords at you. When I think about how original Pokemon, a lot of them were monsters that are dangerous. Like, it is dangerous to go out in the grass without a Pokemon because these Pokemon will attack you. You know, this thing, you're going to the hospital when you're done with this thing if you're lucky, you know? Look at this thing. He's going to send you to the morgue. Look at these. Look at these blades. He's got sword arms, curved sword arms. That is so cool. I love that. We got Jinx. Jinx is a cool design. Jinx looks crazy. Jinx is nuts looking. But Psychic Ice, cool type combo. Cool moves. Makes crazy noises. I don't know. I really like it. I like it a lot. I know it's based off some like Japanese performer thing. It's not what you're thinking of, although I understand the comparison. I don't remember the name of the Japanese performer thing it's based off of, but it's not the American one you're thinking of, don't worry. Human-shaped Pokemon. Nah, Jinx, cool name, cool look, cool voice in both the TV show and a cool cry in the game. Just kind of a cool Pokemon overall. Electabuzz, I really like Electabuzz. I really like Magmar. Again, it's a monster. It has kind of a humanoid shape. I don't think it's based on an animal as far as I can tell, but just the stark black and yellow is such a good color combo. He's got like these probes on his head, almost like he's a lightning rod or something. He's got all these little angular bits of fur coming off him, at least I think it's fur. Fires electricity, can like arc electricity between the head thing, you know? A giant fist fighting electric monster. Then you have Magmar, the duck, the angry flaming duck. He's also got the flaming tail thing like Charmander. I feel like he didn't really need that. But you have the flames coming off the head. He also looks like he can fight. He can throw fire punches and stuff. He's got like the flame body colors here, and that's not even considering he's got the flame body ability, but you know what I mean. He's got like the flame design coming down, the flame design coming up and everything. Just what a couple of cool looking Pokemon, am I right? Pinsir, I love Pinsir. He's kind of the counterpart to Scyther. I think I actually like Pinsir's design more than I like Scyther. There's something super cool about it, this giant angry stag beetle. Again, monster-like. He's got this big creepy mouth. He's got these angular angry eyes. He looks like he can throw down and take you down with his submission-y arms, his wiry arms. He can grab you and guillotine you with the big Pinsir head and everything. He looks dangerous. And he is. He's got good stats. Not great moves, but good stats. Tauros is a little bit generic to me, but I still like him. And man, he is strong. Like, Gen 1. Look at that attack. He's got 100 attack. He's also really fast. Such a cool Pokemon. What are these? Combat Breed? Blaze Breed. What is this? Aqua Breed. What are these from? Oh, is that from Legends Arceus? I think. Oh, I didn't know that. They all look cool though. Yeah, they look cool. Fighting fire, fighting water. Those are cool types. Oh, that's really cool. I legit didn't know about that. Okay. Yeah, but Tauros, original Tauros, a little bit boring, but a strong Pokemon. I do like it. But not one of my favorites. I will say these designs down here though, these are pretty cool. Oh, look at the wrapped up tail. And then this one, they're all straight. This one, they're like twined together into a rope. Oh, that's so cool, actually. That's like really cool. Magikarp, I love Magikarp. Got a lot of personality despite just being a weird looking carp. I love that it's like totally useless, but if you evolve it, it becomes this super dangerous water Onix. It's water Onix. I had a water Onix on my team growing up in a lot of my files. What a cool Pokemon. What a good Pokemon. Looks like a flying Chinese dragon, you know what I mean? Looks like Shenron. Looks like that dragon you fly for fast travel in Mystical Ninja starring Goemon on the N64. Great game, by the way. Actually, okay. I haven't replayed it in a long time, so maybe not as great as I remember, but I remember really enjoying it. Yeah, man, just a cool couple of Pokemon. My only problem, both of them have very cool looking shinies, but man, Gold Magikarp is so cool. It sucks that it's not still gold when it evolves, but then again, Red Gyarados is very cool looking. But is it as cool as a Water Onix? I don't know. Lapras. Wow, that's a weird looking Lapras right there. Oh, but it's got like song notes. That's really cool, actually. Oh, I didn't know about that. Lapras is cool. Makes me think of Dory from Super Mario 64, but less creepy. Dude, if you played Super Mario 64 as a kid, and you first walk into the underground cavern and there's like the draw distance in the fog and then Dory shows up, like I know it's got a really happy face, but that legit was creepy as a kid. Oof. Doesn't help that I was afraid of deep water as a kid. Still kind of am. Lapras. Lapras is just a cool Pokemon. It's the quintessential surfing Pokemon, you know? I like that it's water and ice. Again, that's a type combo that I like. I like ice type in general, but water ice is a very cool type combo. Strong Pokemon, cool design, looks like a prehistoric dinosaur kind of monster. I like it. Ditto, I love Ditto. I know, like, generic design and everything is just a little face on a blob, but I do love the idea of a Pokemon that all it does is it copies other creatures, but it still has the really, the dot eyes, you know? I think that's really funny. I don't know, there isn't much to say about Ditto. I never really use it outside of for breeding Pokemon, because Ditto's not great in combat. I'm sure there is uses for it, but it's not, like, the best ever. But I like the design. I like it. I like the idea of it. I like the design of it. Eevee. Oh, it did that thing. If I go back and there we go. Every once in a while when I go to a Bulbapedia page, it just like breaks and the formatting looks all ugly. I don't know why that is. Eevee. I mean, who doesn't love Eevee? It's just a fun little design of a little fox dog. I don't know, but the idea that you can pick to give it different stones and different evolution methods to turn it into different forms is just really cool, you know? I don't like how that one looks, but this one looks cool. Isn't that purple eyes? I don't know, some about the face, some about the hair, they try and make it look more cool. It doesn't do it for me. Yeah, that doesn't really do it for me either. Just regular old Eevee, cool Pokemon. As for evolutions in Gen 1, we have Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. I think Jolteon is my favorite of these. That's a very cool design and also a very powerful Pokemon in Gen 1. Flareon was not great in Gen 1 because it's a physical attacker, if I remember right. And, I mean, fire moves are special in Gen 1. It is a physical attacker, right? Yeah, by a lot. Although in Gen 1, 110 special, that is good. I remember its moveset wasn't good, though. And Vaporeon's fine. It's probably my least favorite of these three, design-wise. I like all three. I like Jolteon the most. I think Flareon's the middle one for me. Vaporeon, I like Vaporeon's moves, but design-wise, it's just kind of whatever. Porygon, I like Porygon. Porygon's a funny Pokemon where it's just like a program come to life with like really polygonal graphics, you know, like a low polygon count, you know, the virtual Pokemon. I think that's kind of cool. I like the noises it makes. I like the moves it does. It's got like a cool type variety. I like Tri-Attack. Tri-Attack is a really cool move. I don't know. Porygon's just kind of a cool Pokemon in general. I really like the design of it. It almost feels like it shouldn't be a Gen 1 Pokemon, but like I know it is, obviously. I grew up with Gen 1 as my first generation. We have Omanite. Omanite's kind of a creepy little squid coming out of a prehistoric shell. I think that's cool looking, but really, it's the evolution. Omastar looks like a horrible monster. I kind of love it. It looks like a Cthulhuid monster. This thing is like a nightmare demon. Look at this thing. All these tendrils coming off these terrifying eyes, this horrible mouth, this rock water, which is kind of a cool combo. That said, I am more of a Kabutops kind of guy. Kabuto, I love the mystery of it, where it's like these things look like the eyes, but you know it's not. It's this sinister thing underneath with these creepy little claws. And then I don't know why it's rock water, to be honest. It evolves, and it turns into this big thing, this kind of Scyther looking thing, right? Again, I don't know why it's rock water. I feel like it should be, I mean, if it was Gen 2, it'd probably be rock steel, but it's not Gen 2, so steel didn't exist yet. I don't know. I don't want to say rock ground. Maybe just rock. Maybe just rock. Maybe this is your first solo rock type. Could have been. I think it's supposed to also be water type just because the fossil looks like an underwater creature, but like this doesn't look like it water type at all to me. Aerodactyl's cool. It's just a pterodactyl made of rock. I think it's a cool Pokemon. It's really strong. It's got a cool look and everything. Again, classic looking monster Pokemon, you know? Oh, we're getting near the end. Oh, this video's probably been going for 2 hours. I wasn't even originally planning to do this today. I have to do a stream after this. Oh man, I'm gonna be so tired. I'm gonna be so sore. Oh, it is what it is. I'll survive. Snorlax. I love Snorlax. You love Snorlax. Everybody loves Snorlax. And everybody should love Snorlax. Okay, that's funny. It's got like a whole... Okay, that looks like it's a tree from Animal Crossing for some reason. Yeah, Snorlax is awesome. I love the idea of Snorlax. I love that it's an obstacle. It's a great Pokemon to use. The design is really fun. It's a really memorable Pokemon. Well, if I right-click... Okay, the menu doesn't show up. I was wondering. Just a cool design, a cool Pokemon, fun to use. Wow, we're getting into the legendaries now. Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. I almost said Zaptrez. What's wrong with me? Oh, there's a Galarian one? Oh, I'll look at those after. Articuno's probably my favorite of these. Ice Flying. I really like Ice type, especially in Gen 1, where there weren't many Ice types. I think there was like 4, 5, no. Wow, yeah, I think it's only 4. I think it's Articuno, Lapras, Cloyster, Dugong. I think that's it. Wow. So they're all part water except for Articuno, who's part flying. That's crazy. Articuno, though, yeah, awesome moveset. Blizzard in Gen 1 was like really amazingly strong, so slapping that on an Articuno, not a bad move. It does have high special. Wow, its special in Gen 1 is crazy. 125. Very cool design. You know, uno, dos, tres. I think everybody knows that's what that's all about. Zapdos. It has, I really like the design. I love the angularness. I love how angry it is. I love the really long beak and everything. It almost looks like a Spearow that got zapped by lightning. You know what I mean? If Spearow had an electric variant, like a thunderstorm evolution, this is what it would be. It's so cool looking though. I really like that. It's a strong Pokemon too. Moltres is the one of these that I like the least. I don't dislike it, but it doesn't really do anything for me, you know? It's kind of just whatever. It doesn't even really look that much like a legendary to me, but I get it. Okay, so this one, that is very cool looking, a little creepy. What type? Psychic Flying? I can see it. I don't think I like it as much as original Articuno. We have a fighting type Zapdos. That's kind of cool looking, actually. I think I like that. Looks like a evil Chocobo. And that's pretty cool. What is that? Dark Flying? I kind of feel like it should still be part fire, but I understand you can't get rid of flying with it. No, that's pretty cool, actually. I like that. In fact, of the Galaran legendary birds, I think I like that one more than I like the other two. Yeah, cool. Dratini! Not a legendary, but pseudo-legendary evolution line. Okay, I have a bone to pick with this line. Dragonite is cool. Dragonair is cool, Dratini is cool. Why does Dragonair turn into Dragonite? They're so different. So different. It turns from a snake worm thing into a children's cartoon character. I don't know. Puff the Magic Dragon. What is this? I like Dratini into Dragonair a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense. I wish that there was a Dragonair evolution that looked more like Dragonair. You know what I mean, right? He could even just leave it at Dratini and Dragonair. That'd be fine. Have Dragonite be its own Pokemon, but I get it. They only wanted a very, very limited amount of dragons in Gen 1 because it was kind of like the most powerful type, although it kind of was, but Psychic. Psychic was still probably the most powerful type. Psychic was unbelievably good. It's still a cool design. I still like it, but Dragonair is the coolest looking one of that to me. We are in the last two Pokemon of Gen 1. We're in Mewtwo and Mew. Before we got into Chikorita. Wow, we're almost done. Okay, Mewtwo. I mean, Mewtwo was the final legendary that you could catch in Gen 1. Strongest Pokemon in the game. Strongest Pokemon in most Pokemon games. Stats are unbelievable. 680 base stats. It's even higher in Gen 1 because his special defense isn't even lower. It's 154 because combined special. Unbelievably powerful. Super, super powerful. That's gross looking and weird. Looks like Gygus. That's the fighting one, which just looks kind of dumb. Yeah, I don't like the Mega Evolutions. I don't like a lot of Mega Evolutions, to be honest. Fun fact about Mewtwo. Designed by the same people who made Mother 1 or Earthbound 0, whatever you want to call it. Gygus, who you may only know from Earthbound, in which he's just a creepy face, basically. This is basically what he looked like in the original Mother game, the original Earthbound game. This is what Mewtwo's based off of. Mewtwo was based off of Gygus from Earthbound, believe it or not. It's just in Earthbound he looked very different than he looks. I won't spoil why. There is a reason why he looks so different in Earthbound, but I'm not gonna spoil that game for you because that game is so good. Yeah, so Mewtwo is, I mean, it's like the quintessential endgame legendary, isn't it? Like, he feels like a big deal. He feels dangerous. He's at the end of a dungeon you can only find in kind of like a secret little area that you may not even notice after you get in the Elite Four. He's at the end of a really long dungeon, that's like really dangerous, full of really powerful monsters, really high level, with creepy music and stuff. You get to the end and this thing faces you down. And if you've been reading things, like a lot of kids didn't, if you've been reading things, then you had read all the journals about how dangerous this thing is and how it escaped from the lab back on Cinnabar Island, that destroyed lab and the destroyed Pokemon Mansion. So you have an idea, you know, there's some build-up ahead of time of how dangerous this guy is and that he's the one and only Mewtwo. He's cool. Who doesn't like Mewtwo, you know? He's fun to use in Smash. Just good Pokemon design. And last is Mew. New species. Can learn any TM that has ever existed, which is very cool. If I go to the TM move list, that's TM. Mew can learn every TM and move. Is it like that in every game? Yup. I can hit show. Look, it's every TM and move. Yeah, you can legit learn all of them. He's like a really malleable Pokemon. His stats actually aren't like okay, well, 600 base stat, that is crazy. But he's probably still not as strong as Mewtwo, especially not in Gen 1. But the sheer fact that you can do crazy move variety is very valuable. Man, what a cool Pokemon, though. It's such a cool design. It feels like a rare thing. It feels like a big deal. I remember taking pictures of it in Pokemon Snap on the N64, how it was like kind of the secret endgame boss fight, was trying to get a picture of Mew. It has like a barrier around it that you have to wear down before you can take a picture of it, because if you try and snap a picture, the barrier it has around it has a glare on it, and that makes it so it just sees the glare of the flash on your camera. That was such a cool little detail. That's a fun game. I played that on my show, by the way, the original Pokemon Snap. It's a very short game. I think I did it entirely in one stream, but I grew up with that one. Fun game. Yeah, Mew's a cool Pokemon. I didn't have one as a kid, but I had one as a teenager, because there was a very easy exploit to do in Gen 1 to catch a wild Mew, which normally isn't possible. It's very easy to do, though. But that's it. If we go to the next Pokemon, we're on to the Gen 2 starters. Now, the Gen 2 video will be shorter because, you know, there aren't as many Gen 2 Pokemon, but I hope you guys had fun with this, because I did too. I don't think the next one will be in April, because I'm very busy with my daily streams in April. I kind of just did this as a spur-of-the-moment thing because I was in the mood and I wanted to just get around to it. My ankle is really sore because I rolled it really bad and it's very stiff right now, and I think I need to ice it down because I need to elevate it once in a while. And then I need to do a stream after this, and I'll be streaming probably past midnight. I'm probably not going to get any Pokemon work done today. That's fine, I'm ahead right now. It'll be fine. I can make it work. If you liked this video, then let me know. Let me know in the comments section that you would like to see more of this. Let me know your genuine opinions. Let me know what you think of these Pokemon too. I want to hear your opinions. Even if you gotta leave like 100 comments, just like keep replying to yourself so that's really easy to follow. And there you go. I like reading stuff like that. It's fun. I want to hear your personal experiences with these Pokemon. I want to hear your opinions on these Pokemon, even if you disagree with me. That's fine. Everybody's got their own Poke opinions, you know? You let me know. You let me know your stories of playing it as a kid if you're about as old as I am, you know? Or your experiences going back and playing this game if you're younger than me. Maybe you played, I don't know, Gen 7 first, and then you went back and played Gen 1. What did you think? I don't know. I'm interested. Let me know and give me some feedback and everything. And yeah, this was a fun time. Thank you everybody so much for watching. And until next time, have a nice day.